Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi Otts here. It is Saturday, and we do the Saturday Share the Love Club in the off season, which is a weekly celebration of somebody where we share the love. And a couple years ago, when I started the channel 4 years ago, during that first year, Scotty Barnes and Gary Trent Jr. both said in a press conference they wish people would share the love more. Share the love more. So I said, let's start the Share the Love Club in honor of Scotty and Gary saying that. And so we've been consistently sharing the love on Saturdays for different Raptors related people, Basketball Canada related people, Canada basketball related people, Toronto Tempo related people. And well, today is a special day because it's the birthday of one of our Toronto Raptor champions. That's right. Today is Jeremy Lin's birthday. Jeremy Lin is 37 today, and he is still playing professionally, guys. Of course, he plays in Taiwan at this point. Taiwanese is his descent as a young man growing up in California, going to Harvard, and then coming to the NBA. Jeremy Lin has faced different kinds of challenges than most people in the NBA because he's maybe one of the most prominent and successful Asian American players to play in the NBA. In fact, he's the only Asian American player to win the NBA championship with the Toronto Raptors. I don't know if many people know that he is the first ever Asian American player to play in the finals. And he is also I think the only one that's ever won an NBA championship. So it's pretty cool. Jeremy Lin's been outspoken in recent days about Linsanity. Linsanity, of course, was a phenomenon that overtook New York when he played for the Knicks, and he caught fire. And he just had a really, really good hot streak of games where he was just scoring like crazy and helping them. And it really captured the hearts and minds of all the people and really went crazy. It was a real phenomenon, Linsanity. It's weird, of course, it's a play off of the great Vince Carter with his Vinsanity, that they had the Linsanity. But Jeremy said recently that the heights of Linsanity and the success were more uncomfortable to him than the lows afterwards and the different times afterwards. In some ways, the buzz and the frenetic energy around the Linsanity was difficult at times because it was, he said that it wasn't realistic. It wasn't real life. People were throwing things at him. They were like, he told the audience, the interviewer, that people were giving him condos to live in during Linsanity. It was like, oh, Jeremy, come live in my building. He's like, why? Well, how much? How what? No, we just want you to live here. You can live in the building for free and we won't charge you. He had that wine and dine going on then. And he kind of talked about it. It's like, that's not real life. That being at the height like that, when everybody's just kind of catering to you and you're just in that weird flux zone, that's not necessarily real life. And it's, if you get used to that, boy, you're going to come crashing down when it goes out the window, because that period of Linsanity is true. People were wine and dining him every which way to try and get him around. And, people wanted, he was the hot person in the zeitgeist in the media at that time. And everybody wanted a piece of him. Everybody wanted him to appear. Everybody wanted him to say, hey, they wanted him on Saturday Night Live. They wanted him on talk shows. They wanted him to be more and more a focal point because he was showing a diverse face in the NBA that not everybody had seen that often. So, he's an amazing guy. I think that there's been a lot of pressure on Jeremy in his life in certain ways that most people don't have to deal with. Because in some ways, when you are kind of a trailblazer, when you're kind of a person that kind of pushes the ceiling, you may get lumped in as the representative for everybody who looks like you at that level. And that's tough, man. That's a tough responsibility. And in some ways, it's not a fair responsibility. I think that Jeremy's done a good job. I mean, I don't think that there's any crazy scandals about him. I think that, growing up in California, going to Harvard, just being a basketball player, that's what he is. Forget about him being Asian. Forget about his roots and his background. He's just a basketball player. In fact, Daryl Morey, when he was looking to draft him in the NBA draft, he said, we tested him on everything and tried him out, and he was athletically so good. But for some reason, we had it in the back of our heads that he wasn't athletic enough to play in the NBA. Some of that is stereotype. Some of that is, maybe thinking, oh, because he's Asian, this is this or this, and that's interesting. Daryl Morey very openly admitting that that was kind of a silly kind of take that, like, oh, just because he's Asian, he's less athletic. But he's been very open about, like, yeah, that was kind of a thought that happens. Some of this stuff is very not fair to players if they get pegged in certain ways for certain things. It shouldn't be that way. Shouldn't be that way. So happy birthday, Jeremy Lin, champion of the Toronto Raptors 2019 championship team. Of course, we added him on near the end of the season as insurance, just in case Fred VanVleet got hurt and had to miss games. He was going to be our backup point guard. He did end up playing games in our championship run. He got about 27 minutes on the court during the playoffs when we played to get the championship in the 2019. So yeah, Jeremy did not continue in the NBA after the Raptors won the championship, and he was not signed to anyone. So he went on to play internationally, where he still plays to this day. He is not retired from the basketball, and he continues to play right now. As of still right now, he's in a league in Taiwan. So yeah, y'all, if you have any Jeremy Lin stories or things you want to share about Jeremy and about what he does and who he is at this point, what he stands for, and the interesting story of his life, go ahead and let's share the love. I love the Chinese game, the Chinese charity game that he does every summer here in Toronto. He gets together with actor Simu Liu, and they do these charity games, and they're really well attended, and they're really for a good cause, and they generate a lot of revenue for that good cause. So yeah, I commend Jeremy Lin to his commitment to doing that game annually here in Toronto, and he comes through. And of course, he's going to get that shine as a champion of the Raptors, man. That's another thing that's so cool about it is that it really was such a weird add-on at the end of the season that year. Like when we added Jeremy, I was like, oh, this is cool. Jeremy Lin's a Raptor all of a sudden. That's kind of cool. And I was hoping for more from him. I thought that maybe Nick Nurse would play him more. But alas, he really was kind of the third point guard, buried on the bench and really just kind of breaking in case emergency. But for the most part, the Raptors did not have to utilize him. But yeah, he still went along for the ride, and he still got a ring. And that's nothing to be upset about right there. Yeah. So yeah, Jeremy Lin, that's our Share the Love Club for today. Of course, we've also got things to cover from results of games yesterday. Canada very successful in their game against Venezuela in the AmeriCups qualifier. Very successful. I mean, they kicked their ass, honestly. This was crazy. The final score was 88-54 for Canada. And the leading scorer was Keyshawn George, the Washington Wizards. He got 18 points, 2 blocks, 4 steals, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and shot 54% from the field. He shot 57% from 3. So, yeah, Keyshawn George, very much the man for Canada yesterday. Leonard Miller of the Minnesota Timberwolves with 14 points, 3 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 2 steals. 14 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block. And he shot 64% from the field. So, big game from him. Treybell Haynes, the point guard, with 5 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists, shooting 50% and 100% from 3. And also Kabengele with 14 points, 3 rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 steals at 71%. Overall, Canada's team shot extremely well, 55% as a team from the field, and including 46% from 3. Yeah, they didn't shoot well at the free throw line, though. They only shot 54% at the free throw line. That's something that's a big problem right there. But easily taken care of. Venezuela, I didn't end up watching the game. Courtside 18-16 or whatever. They made it really difficult to try and log into their site and get the game on there. So it was really hard to find the game. So I didn't end up watching it. So I just ended up watching the 2 CBL playoff games. Now, Canada's going to play their second game tonight against Panama. And I believe the game is at 11 p.m. Eastern. So I don't know if I'll be able to track down the stream for that one. I'm going to try. And I'll try and watch it on Discord again, guys, if you guys are available and would like to do that. So good first win by the Canadian team at AmeriCup qualifiers in Nicaragua. That's where they're playing right now, Nicaragua. And I think that it's going to be easy for this Canada team to just walk right through this little group here, as they'll play Panama tonight. And then on Monday, they'll play Jose Alvarado and Puerto Rico. And they should kick their ass also. Yeah, the Canadian team is very good at this level. And I expect them to easily qualify and coast right on into the regular America. Of course, of course. All right, let's check in the chat with you guys and see what's going on here. Yeah, Trevor J saying, no one knows you better than you, so don't let no one tell you about you. God made you special. He calls you his masterpiece. There you go. That's right. Other people will try and define you. Other people will try and put you in a box. Other people have conceptions about who you are in their mind. But that doesn't mean that you have to kowtow or be that in their mind, like in reality. That doesn't mean that. You set who you are. You know yourself better. And a lot of things that people think about you is none of your business. Who cares what they think? In some ways, in the grand scheme of things, people's perception of you is usually wrong. And also, or if it is right, well, then that's fine. There's no problems. But it also, if they are being manipulative and trying to change you by telling you who you are to your face, that's not your friend. That's not your friend, especially if what they're telling you doesn't jive with what you see yourself as. So yeah, Trevor's right. The creator has created you perfect in the image that he wanted to create you in. And your skills and who you are specifically are all in his name and what he thought and wanted. So honor that and be truly yourself. And do not let anybody else define you. That's right. Thank you, Commissioner Trevor J, for your words of wisdom. We appreciate you. I appreciate you so much, Trevor. And I hope you're doing very well this morning. Shaq Lindsay's in the house. Thank you for supporting the channel, Shaq Lindsay. There was another shockwave yesterday in Europe, reached a record of 5.8. They say that they haven't felt anything like this since the Will Smith slap. I felt loud. Giannis' slap on his teammate. Okay, how can another man slap another man like that? That's just weird. I lost all respect for Giannis. Are you talking about that there was another earthquake? I'm not totally following you, Shaq Lindsay. Was there a real earthquake in Europe, or are you talking about that Giannis is slapping people around and that's the shockwave? I'm not totally clear. I don't know this news. Did Giannis actually slap somebody again? He really did. He slapped somebody else again? Man, all right. First of all, in some ways, American culture and North American culture, Canadian culture, there's certain kind of things you don't do. But maybe in other cultures, it's like, okay, yeah, you're a little guy, I'm a big guy, I'm going to slap the shit out of you. I don't know. I don't know if that's a culture in Greece. Because maybe it's like, hey, what's the matter you? Slap, bam. What's the matter you? I'm slapping the shit out of you. I don't know. I don't know. In some ways, I don't want to judge this. I mean, I get it. If you're losing respect for Antetokounmpo because he can't control his temper and he's lashing out violently towards people, that's a good reason to lose respect for him, for sure. Yeah. I don't know what's going on here. Giannis, why are you falling apart? Is it because you're realizing that your best teammate might be Kyle Kuzma? Is this why you're falling apart at this point? This is why he's mad, man. He's taking out his anger about the Milwaukee Bucks situation on his Greek teammates. And he's slapping the shit out of them. He's like, where did Brooke Lopez go? Slap. Bam, bam. Where the hell did Brooke go? I need Brooke. Chris Middleton got traded? What? For this wannabe karate guy, Kyle Kuzma? Who is this guy? He tried to threaten me if I leave with a mixed martial arts match. No, I don't want to fight you, Kyle. Oh, my gosh. I mean, if I was Giannis, I'd be mad too, maybe, and slapping his teammates behind the back. I wouldn't be slapping them, but I'd be mad, maybe. That's never a good choice, Giannis Antetokounmpo. If you're going to commit violence, commit it to inanimate ladders that have no feelings and can't be hurt. Fiercely saying, good morning, fam, and happy Saturday. Good morning to you, MJ. Hope you're having a fantastic start to your Saturday morning this morning. And G saying, happy birthday, Linsanity. That's right. Happy birthday to Jeremy Lin, a true NBA legend. It may have been a brief period of time that Linsanity captured the attention and hearts of everybody in the NBA, but boy, did it for real. I mean, that's why it's a sanity. It has to be on the level of what Vinsanity did. Linsanity was on that level. It captured the attention of everybody beyond the NBA, even. That, there were people like Regis and Kelly were calling up Jeremy Lin and saying, "Hey, Jeremy, will you come in and be on Regis's show?" Yeah. It's like he was like everywhere at that point, man. He was, like I said, he was on Saturday Night Live. He was on so many shows. He was so hot and so famous at that time, Jeremy Lin, during the Linsanity. And man, like he said, it's like that period of time was surreal and not real life. And in some ways, I could see where people get into that place in their life and they just like crave it and they don't want it to stop. And then it does stop. And I can see how people fall and feel the hurt and the pain. Because Jeremy is very open about after the Raptors championship and he didn't get signed to anybody in the NBA after that. And he went into depression afterwards, is saying, "Oh, I'm not good enough to play in the NBA at this point." And, nobody wants me. And that's tough. You ride the highs and lows of life and it can be a roller coaster. You can go through amazing periods like Linsanity. And then all of a sudden, you don't have a spot in the NBA and you're like searching your soul and your feelings. It's tough. It's tough. It's good to have a very middle perspective through a roller coaster of ups and downs like that, because you want to be able to manage your feelings and emotions in reality during those kind of periods. Whenever you're completely bottomed out and low, that is not reality. And whenever you're like at the high of like Linsanity, that's not reality either. It's somewhere in the middle. And it's good to have that groundedness. This is part of the reason why NBA teams always say after wins or losses, we're not reacting to it either way. We want to keep that middle stoic like level of outlook. Oh, we won. Woo! Our shit is so hot. We're awesome. We don't smell. We're awesome. We're so good. No, you can't get like that. No, the job ain't done. No, we won. That's great, but we still got to look forward. We got to do more. Or you lost. You lost. Oh my gosh, you lost. Well, we could get depressed and get down and start feeling all kinds of horrible emotions. And it'll probably screw us up for the next game. But no, we're going to look forward to the next game and we're going to come back bigger and better than ever. And we're going to bounce back. You have to have that kind of mentality as a professional athlete in a lot of situations, because some situations are going to be down and out. And some situations are going to be exhilarating jubilance. And the two levels, like I said, you want to be measured through all of them. All of them. Don't get too high and mighty when you're on your high, and don't get too low when you're on your low, is what it's saying right there. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Shaq Lindsay saying people need to think twice about acquiring some of these superstars. Talent means nothing if you have an inflated ego. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the NBA is interesting because over the history of the NBA, there were different levels of being able to get in the NBA. Obviously, in the very beginning of the NBA, there were no people of color. It was all little white Jewish guys. So it's like, yeah, if you're a little white Jewish guy in New York, you could probably play in the NBA in 1946. But things change. The parameters of talent levels coming in the league are going to change over time. And at some point, well, you couldn't be a 5'7" little white Jewish guy and make the NBA anymore, because all of a sudden Bill Russell and people like that started coming in the league. And then, at that point, it's like, okay, we want a lot of tall people. We get tall people. Yeah, George Mikan. Yeah, Wilt Chamberlain. Yeah, we get tall people. And, it evolves. And the talent and the way that athletes have evolved, and they are more skilled than ever at huge heights. And at some point, the part of the evolving is going to be not just in physical traits, but in mental and personality traits. That at some point there may be so many talented players in basketball around the world that one of the things that will define whether you make the league is your attitude and whether you're a good person. There's a lot of very, very talented people that have made the NBA that have been absolutely dreadful people and that, just awful. But they were so talented, a lot of their bad behavior will look the other way. And they were like, nah, we got to keep going with them because they're a cash cow. And they're a star and they're drawing attendance and all this kind of stuff. But at a certain point, Is it going to be where it's like, you know what, you're a knucklehead. We can already tell you're going to be such a fucking headache, even though you can do 360 dunks and you are absolutely one of the most amazing athletes of your generation, but you are absolutely a fucking knucklehead. And I know that you're a dead end as a player, and I don't want you on my team, so I'm not drafting you. I'm passing on you. I don't care how well you jump. I don't care how much athletic prowess you have. Now, maybe the Charlotte Hornets will come down and a couple of picks after us and pick you up and bring you in and deal with that. But it's some way you got to wonder, is this going to change over time where they're like analyzing them from every aspect? And you know what? You're discounted and you're out just because you are acting like a criminal. You're doing crazy shit. The way you treat women's not right. And we don't want you in this league. You know, shit like that. Because they that's the thing. It's going to get more and more like that. In the past, they had to have people come in because they just needed tall people. They, you know, if you're anywhere athletic as a tall person, you're in the NBA. But at some point, there's so much of that they can be more discerning and say, no, sorry. I see a lot of Ben Simmons in you, and I do not want you coming in the NBA wasting our time and money. That kind of attitude. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Shaq Lindsay saying a lot of players were jealous of Linsanity, i.e. Carmelo Anthony. This is true. This is true. Like when the Linsanity was going on, he had a lot of haters and detractors. And there was a lot of out-of-pocket coverage of him, a lot of bad jokes, a lot of racist jokes, you know, a lot of racist jokes. Jason Whitlock really putting his foot in his mouth with some dumb shit. You know, there's somebody who said on Sports Center one game that Jeremy had a highlight. He said Jeremy Lin was cooking with hot butter oil, peanut butter oil. Or peanut oil, hot peanut oil. He's cooking with hot peanut oil. And everybody's like, whoa, whoa. I mean, that in some ways is innocent. But in some ways, is that racial? Yeah, probably, because he's making light of him being Asian, and that's why he's cooking with hot peanut oil. You know, you got to be careful with this kind of stuff. You think you're cute, you think it's funny, you think you're witty, you think you're clever, but you're actually just kind of being on the down low, slightly racist. You know, I could be guilty of this. I'm not gonna lie. If I say something on my show that's slightly racist or slightly offensive, I want y'all to call me out on it. I really do believe that you want to teach the action of being a better person in that moment and not be like, oh, my ego's hurt. You told me I'm a racist, or oh, you said something I said is a racist. No, these people that are like that, they get all upset like that. They have something to be upset about. Like you feel like in your heart, you're not really a racist person. And somebody says, oh, that's racist what you just said. The reaction isn't, oh my God, fuck you, you calling me a racist? No, the reaction is, well, wait, what did I say that offended you? What is it? I want to be sensitive to this because I would like to not make the same mistake later. You know, I would like to not make the same mistake later. You know, I run this pro wrestling group on Facebook. We have a Hall of Fame, and we do Hall of Fame vote every month of a classic pro wrestler. And this month for September coming up, we're going to do the little people. And there's people in my group that are little people, self-identifying little people. Now, in the past, we used a word that starts with M to call the wrestling that little people do. It's a very famous part of the history of wrestling, the little people wrestling. And, it's something, but I talked to my friend Tony, who's a little person, who's a self-identified little person. I said, I want to handle this sensitive to you and how you feel about, your group. And I don't want to be insensitive or insulting. He said, well, listen, Lex, the M word is a racial slur to me. It is. It's like a slur to me. When people say that word to me, it's very offensive and I do not like it. And in some ways, I say, all right, we're not going to use that word. Even though in some ways in the history of wrestling, the performers would use that M word with the word wrestling because that's how they identified. But my friend Tony says that I don't want that word in my face. There's a lot of words that are like this. Some people did not really and this word is awful. And Elon Musk uses it all the time. The R word is absolutely a dreadful, awful slur kind of word. So in some ways, instead of being a jerk to Tony and saying, you know what, we're using the M word anyway. You're a jerk for telling me how I can't talk or free speech. I'm going to use it anyway. No, I'm going to be sensitive to Tony and his life experience as a little person and be respectful towards him. And we're going to call the ballot the little people ballot. because in some ways I could use that M term, but it's offensive to the man who is in that category. So, that's the thing, man. We can be better human beings. This is part of empathy. And this is part of being the opposite of what fucking MAGA is. And, they're anti woke and maybe call what I'm talking about right now woke. No, I call this being a better human being and learning how to be a better human being as you go along, as you get older. And, you can't just be like, oh, I'm just a racist and that's just how I am. Okay, you're just a racist. Well, you're a piece of shit. And if you're going to just be that way, well, you're going to lose out on a lot of opportunities, hopefully, because racists shouldn't get a lot of opportunities. But in Trump's world, they will, apparently. Yeah, there's my little spiel on that. I would like to be more sensitive to everybody and the way they are. And if I can be a better person, call me a better woke person, I will be. Because that's the way we progress as humans, is to be better every single day we get up, whatever area you're talking about. You want to be better as a forklift driver. You want to be better because I can do more pull-ups. You want to be better because you love your partner better in the way that they want you to love them. There's all kinds of different ways you can be better every day, improve yourself. I quit smoking, guys. I quit smoking cigarettes. I quit being more racist. I lessened my racism because I've been a little bit more awakened to how I'm a piece of shit for it, and I'm getting better for it. There's always a way to get better. And if I'm being an asshole and some of the things I'm saying, I want to be called out on it. I'm not above reproach. I'm not the end all be all. I'm not a wannabe dictator like a piece of shit named Donald Trump. I'm somebody who's an easygoing person who wants to be a better person every day. And I think that that's the attitude a lot of people should try and have, especially in a world where some people are devolving into humanoid people that absolutely have no heart or no sympathy, and they're absolute piece of shit. And they call themselves MAGA Christians, but they are not Christian in any kind of way that Jesus Christ would recognize. I would just say that right there. Yeah. Let's keep going in the chat, man. Let's keep going in the chat. Shaq Lindsay's saying, this is why I love Barnes, a superstar who has no ego and is very humble. Yeah, Scotty's ego is interesting. His ego is with his own self. It is. In some ways, he's very giving with his teammates and loving and supportive and passing and just like very encouraging. He's a leader. He's very vocal. But you know what? His ego is with himself. It's like Scotty battles a thing where he wants to be the best. And, he will talk trash. And, we watched him on 2K on Twitch and the way he handles himself on there. And he can be very arrogant. But it's not against his teammates. Is more arrogant just in general that I'm this guy. But in some ways, to be that guy and get to the level of the NBA like this, you have to be like that. So, Scotty has a braggadocio. He has a bit of an ego, but it's a healthy ego because you need a healthy ego to get to the levels of what he's done in basketball. You have to have that kind of ego right there. That's right. Kaz is saying, good morning, Lex, and Raptor Freak crew. My wife is going to be induced today, so we will have another Raptor Freak soon. Wow, Kaz is going to the hospital today with the wife. And wow, there's another generation, more generation coming. Wow, that's fantastic. Congratulations, Trucker Kaz. I hope you find time to set up your fantasy WNBA team in the midst of the chaos. I hope you do find time. Let's go check and see what's been going on in that yesterday. We had a Friday night of action. And right now, James is losing to Edmund still in the consolation. Kareem is beating Logical Raptors Fanatic by 130. Fiercey is behind by almost 200 behind MK, the defending champion. Kaz does have a big lead over JP. And my lead over Cool Cat right now is currently 27. Very close game between Cool Cat and I. That is the match of the week where we are going at it. And referees for the 3 games, the WNBA today, ref check. New York at Atlanta, Amy Bonner is there with Kevin Fahey and Jason Alabanza. Las Vegas at Washington Mystics, Roy Guibien, Agana Bazi, and Kelsey Reynolds. And Connecticut at Chicago is the 3rd game. Eric Bruton is the crew chief with Tim Green and Angelica Suffren. There's your WNBA fantasy check. It's the first week of the playoffs. And, well, some people are going to get eliminated after tomorrow's games. So 2 more days of competition. And, well, it's one and done. There's no series. It's like a 1-game shot. The winner goes to the next round. So get it done. A lot of those matches are already kind of all figured out there. Yeah. All right. Let's see what else you guys are talking about in the chat this morning. Isaac wants a dunk for Kaz. We'll do that. We'll get a dunk for Trucker Kaz. Let's see. Where is the number here? Kaz is at 55 now. He's got the DeLon Wright. DeLon Wright, 55, my guy. 55 dunks for Trucker Kaz. Awesome. Wayne Strainer's here. Good morning to Wayne. Morning, Raptor Freaks. Totally missed the CBL games last evening. My opinion is that it's not insensitive to mention someone's national or ethnic origins. If you describe something I do as jerky hot is okay. Yeah, it depends. I mean, listen, also, you may have special relationships with certain people in your life where it's lighthearted. And in some ways, it's not a really big deal because it's all done out of the goodness of your heart, where you kind of go back and forth. Some of it may really sound bad to an outsider if they heard you saying it, but it's like, no, we have an inside joke. Like we do this. I mean, in some ways, that could be a bad role model for some people. But if it's just the way you guys are, in some ways, that's nobody's business too. But yeah, I don't know. In some ways, I say this: it's probably better to just not make light of differences in ethnicity with people in certain ways and what you're doing. I'm bad about this sometimes. I mean, I know I do impressions. I know I may say things just out of the filter, no filter. I'm talking, and afterwards I'm like cringe. Why did you say it like that, Lex? Especially in my earlier streams when I started this channel. There were some times when I would watch my replay of what I said earlier, and I'd be like, man, I wish I could take that back. I wish I had not said that. There are times when I do that. That's the danger of being out in the tightrope for 2 hours every morning live with no filter on your mouth. That can happen. That's right. Go up. Wayne, you missed some good CBL action in the first game. Wow. The second game, not as entertaining, but yeah, really fun night of CBL playoff action in Winnipeg last night at Canada Life Center. We started the games with Scarborough and Niagara. And, I don't totally agree with what you did, CBL. You started the game so early that the crowd was empty when the Scarborough game and Scarborough and Niagara games tipped off. There was nobody in the arena. And in some ways, I get it. They tipped the game off at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. Everybody's still at work, and they need some time to get from work to get to the arena. I feel like that was a bad decision. Even if the games get bumped an hour later, like you got done last night at 11 Eastern, and that's 10 Central. Is it there's some sort of rules in Winnipeg where you can't have an event go till 11 or midnight? Because honestly, I would have bumped the whole night back at least an hour, if not 2 hours. You should have had this. Maybe you should have had the first game start at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, and then everything would have got done at like around 11 Eastern. Because I feel like the games are fast enough that you didn't have to front load it so early. But maybe it's because you worry about things taking longer or something. In some ways, I didn't like it because it was so empty at the beginning of the Scarborough Niagara game that y'all look bad in some ways. That y'all want the people to be there in their seats so that when they come and look at your playoffs, they see a full crowd and a very successful CBL. And you got that full crowd by the end of the night. Of course, a lot of the people showed up for the Sea Bears because Winnipeg Sea Bears are extremely popular in the city of Winnipeg right now, apparently. All the merchandise that's put out for Winnipeg is getting bought off the shelves and is hard to find. It's sold out. And you could tell from the crowd, they were wearing all kinds of very interesting, different Winnipeg Sea Bears gear. And they love that team. This is fantastic. This team's very, very new, but people are into it in Winnipeg, and that's hugely successful. But I don't totally agree with them starting the game so early while people are still at work, and they're filtering in during the Scarborough Niagara game throughout the whole game. But it was building over time. By halftime of Scarborough Niagara, the arena was more or less half full, and then it got full by the time the Winnipeg game started. So, but yeah, the first game was amazing, Wayne. That was back and forth. It was so many lead changes, a lot of ties, so back and forth. Scarborough had the lead by 1 after 1 quarter. Scarborough had the lead by 1 at the half. It was really like that. And it was all the way down the wire like that. Like either team could have won it, with the target score. In fact, if Scarborough had done things just slightly different, they would have won it. But alas, there's a couple things they didn't do well. One of them's the thing they hadn't done well all year, and that's shoot free throws. There missed free throws by Donovan Williams, two missed free throws, and the game is this razor close. If they had had those 2 points and gotten a 93 before Niagara, they would have won. And there's missed free throws for the for the Scarborough Shooting Stars that absolutely is Achilles' heel. Another thing that hurt them was that Donovan Williams had foul trouble. Or in the first half, he was amazing. He was bombing threes. He was attacking the basket, laying it up, and he had 19 points at halftime. And, well, he did also get a technical in the first half, and he got in foul trouble. And I don't know why Mike DeGiorgio, the coach of Scarborough Shooting Stars, held him out at the end of the Elam ending. It may have been foul trouble. Maybe he fouled out and I didn't even realize it, but he was not out there in the last little part of the game. And I felt like that was a mistake. The other thing that happened at the end was the way that the game was that Niagara needed a 3 to win and Scarborough needed a 2 to win. And Tarquavion Smith, who's amazing talent. He's played in the NBA a lot already. He's an extremely good talent. He's similar to Jacoby Walter in some ways. He plays a lot like Jacoby in some ways. Well, he wanted to be the hero and he wanted to take over. And, the last couple of plays for Scarborough that worked were plays where somebody drove into the lane and dropped it off to a guy on the side and they got a dunk. And it was mostly Michael Foster Jr. that would get the dump off pass and then he'd dunk it. And that was way more effective. In some ways, Smith should have drove the lane, draw the attention of the defenders and dumped it off to one of his teammates. But no, he had to be a hero. And in some ways, Tarquavion went into the lane and he elevated off balance and turned to the side and tried to shoot a 2. It was very poor shot selection for what they needed and what they would have won on. And, well, he missed. And then the Niagara River Lions rebounded it and come back the other way. And they have a guy on their team called the Lion King. They call him the Lion King because this guy, Ahmad, he apparently thrives in the Elam ending time period. And they said, oh, if it's at the end and the target score time is going on, look out for the Lion King. He's going to come and do it. And he did. He's been known for doing this all year. And the Montreal Alliance coach was one of the broadcasters last night. He said, this guy, if there's the total score time, he is just going to go off and he'll put the ball in the hoop. He'll fill it up, this Ahmad guy. And he did. He came in transition. Nobody got to him in time. And he bombed a 3 and ended the game right there. He was so cold about it, too. He just came across the line. He shot it right through the net. Boom, game over. Three points, and they hit the target score. And Scarborough loses by 2. It's too bad, man, because the Scarborough season was really interesting. And I feel like they were a team of destiny, but actually Calgary's the team of destiny at this point. And, Niagara, to their credit, and this is what the Montreal Alliance coach said, is the reason why Niagara won this game over Scarborough is because of their experience being the champions last year and just being a very good championship kind of team that knows how to close games out to win. And that's it right there. But extremely competitive, extremely entertaining game in the Eastern Conference Finals last night of the CBL between Scarborough and Niagara. Very, very entertaining. Very, very entertaining. I have to give a lot of credit to Brady Heslip, former Raptor and GM of the Scarborough Shooting Stars, because you built a really good team, man. I think this Scarborough has a really solid roster with a lot of really good talent. And I have to give some kudos to Brady Heslip, who's the GM of the Scarborough Shooting Stars. He has a good eye for talent, and he's put a good collection of guys together. There's a good chemistry there. It's too bad that they can't make their free throws, and Tarquavion Smith wants to be a hero too much. Yeah. The second game was not close, and it was weird, man, because everybody showed up to see Winnipeg. But Winnipeg, in some ways, was out of their league. Calgary Surge has been surging up under Evan Gilliard and Jameer Nelson Jr. And Winnipeg, in some ways, I felt bad for the home crowd because they got blown out right away. They were down by 20, like within the first half. And it was kind of deflating. It was kind of like, okay, this game's kind of sucks. The first game was so entertaining and back and forth. The second game was a blowout, and Calgary was just killing them. Evan Gilliard, just masterful with bombing threes and just they're just doing different things. And you know, one of the things that really disappointed me about that Western Conference Finals was Jalen Harris. Jalen Harris is a bum, guys. Everybody who thinks Jalen Harris was great, and I'm sorry, Paul B. Everybody who talked up Jalen Harris is a bum. He's a fucking bum. And I'm sad that the Raptors actually wasted a draft pick on him. Seriously, guys. Seriously. Because listen, I saw a guy last night check out, and he didn't give a shit about his team in any kind of way. That guy was so lame last night. He honestly should have been the king of that game against Calgary last night because of his talent level and who he supposedly is. He's a fraud, guys. Jalen Harris has been a fraud since we drafted him. That 1 year we had him on the team, yeah, he was high on coke in that last interview, and that's why he got banned for a season from the NBA. He does a lot of this. Yeah, he's a cokehead. And the other thing is I looked at him on the court last night, and he was overweight, guys. He's not in shape, and he looked awful, man. He looked so bad. And listen, if he's like trying to be a pro, trying to get in the NBA, trying to do nothing, you're wasting your life, bro, because you're not doing it right, Jalen Harris. Obviously, this is the game of the year for you. This is the Western Conference Finals of the CBL, and you win this game, you go to a championship game. But you didn't give a shit. You're just sitting there like, I'm Jalen Harris. I'm so disappointed in that guy. He's such a liar. Seriously, that man is not a good player. And everybody who talked up Jalen Harris, like, oh, Jalen Harris this, Jalen Harris that. Fuck that guy, man. That guy sucks. And I'm pissed at him, honestly, because he let down the fans of Winnipeg last night. There's so many fans that came out for the Sea Bears last night to watch them and watch their team try and compete, but Jalen Harris didn't show up. Jalen Harris did not show up. Now, he did get hurt in the first half too, and then he did try and come back and play, but absolutely ineffective loser. Seriously, man. I'm so sad about it. I was actually looking forward to watching Jalen Harris last night, and I wanted to see Jalen Harris have a huge game. Like he had a game earlier this season where he got 44 or something like that in the CBL. That's the shit you should have been doing last night, Jalen. No wonder your ass got bounced out of the Raptors and then out of the Knicks, and now you're playing for Winnipeg because you're wasting your life, obviously, because you've obviously got distractions in your life that don't allow you to concentrate on basketball because you're wasting your life, bro. In some ways, I didn't see any emotion on your face last night. You looked like you were out to lunch and that you didn't even live on this planet in your brain. I'm like serious. Can we rescind that trade? I mean, that pick, Jalen Harris for the Raptors, when we drafted him as a Raptors, I don't even want to see him on the list as a Raptors draftee ever again. Because that man is not, he's a fraud. Honestly, he's a fraud. He's like a Malachi Flynn pick to me at this point. Yeah, I'm go full on Jalen Harris and my disappointments in his failures. Because, man, you can't do this in the CBL, bro. There's no fucking way you're getting back to the NBA, bro. There's no fucking way, man. That's just how it is. So, yeah, Calgary blew out Winnipeg, and the finals are set for Sunday in Winnipeg. It will be Calgary versus Niagara, the defending champions, versus the team with the best record that's still standing. And honestly, Calgary deserves to be in this championship game. Now, will the championship experience of the Niagara River Lions come through behind the king, the Lion King? Or will it be Evan Gilliard and Jameer Nelson Jr. pulling their team to their CBL championship this year? Will it be a repeat for Niagara or a Calgary surge to get it? We'll have to find out on Sunday. I'll do another watch along on the Discord so you guys can join me and you can hear live commentary during it. Thank you, Isaac, and thank you, Adriana, for watching CBL with me last night. That was a lot of fun, man. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yes, Scarborough fell short for sure. Seymour Pate. Definitely, and Calgary is through. Yeah, Calgary was very powerful. And like I said, Winnipeg was floundering. In some ways, there's just too many weapons on Calgary and too many absentee people for Winnipeg. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, let's go Cowtown. All right, so fully on the Calgary Surge choice to win for Seymour Pate. It would have been a little dubious if Scarborough had gotten through. but it's easy for him to just straight up root for the Surge now against the River Lions. That's right. That's going to be a good final, man. Kaz saying, thank you, Lex. You're welcome, man. It's a blessing. A blessing I don't know, but a blessing that many people do. And in some ways, you know what? Cherish it. Cherish it. And seriously, raise good people. This world needs good people, Kaz. Please raise good people. I want good people coming up in this world. So people that are parents that have kids, raise good people, please. It's your responsibility, right? That's right. Fiercely saying congratulations to Kaz and his wife. That's right. That's awesome, man. More Raptor freaks in this world is a great thing, obviously. Yeah, Shaq Lindsay saying, I'm starting to think KD is similar to Giannis, but just in a passive, hang on, it jumped ahead. Let me make sure. And just in a passive aggressive way, inflated ego at the detriment to his teammates and his organization. Yeah. I mean, Kevin talks about this publicly on Twitter with fans all the time. You know, he understands his place in the game. And it's not that it's like wrong. He really is one of the greatest scorers in the NBA. But in some ways, the other stuff his detractors say about him chasing championships, the easy way to go to Golden State, different things is true too. But he'll look at the bright sides about himself. And the other thing is, as people get older and they lose their powers, they still think they have the same powers they had when they were younger. And I think this is where Kevin is now. I think that Kevin thinks he's still Kevin from like 5 years ago. And he thinks he's more powerful than he actually is in the NBA game. And in some ways, that's part of why he talks trash. I could see the similarities in personality between Durant and Antetokounmpo. Yeah, I could see the similarities for sure. Fiercely saying, yeah, my WNBA fantasy is done. I am cooked. Well, at least you have fun this year. And you know what? It's about competing and having fun. And once again, this WNBA fantasy that we've been playing is to get prepared for our Toronto Tempo starting next year. We've been playing WNBA fantasy because I found out a long time ago when I played NFL football fantasy, I learned about the NFL very fast because I'm that kind of person who wants to research, find out about the players, find out about the league. And then all of a sudden, boom, I'm an NFL expert after just playing some fantasy because I really did the research. Well, I had one of the same effect with the WNBA because we're coming in next year. In some ways, we need to be familiarized with the players in the league and who possibly we want to be Toronto Tempo players. So having your own fantasy team can get you familiar with players real fast. And I appreciate you playing once again. Our third year of the WNBA Fantasy League and the Raptor Freak channel has been very, very successful. And well, MK is going to go past you. We'll have to see if MK can three-peat. That's going to be tough. He's going to have tough matchups every round going forward, as he'll probably have to play Kaz in the next round. And that is not going to be easy. That is not going to be easy playing Trucker Kaz in the second round. That's going to be a battle if it's MK and Kaz. That's going to be a real battle. That might even be more of the championship right there. Shaq Lindsay saying it didn't work out in Golden State, Brooklyn, and the Suns. Yeah, Kevin's weird, man. Like in some ways he wants things easy, but in some ways he's not willing to do his part of the work. That's part of it right there. Like seriously, I feel like, all right, there's certain players that set the tone of energy and what they want to do on the court. And Scotty Barnes is a great example of this. Scotty goes all out on defense. Scotty's vocal on defense. He's putting effort in where it's not just like the effort that you get rewarded for with stats. Like I'm getting points. I'm getting assists. No, he's putting an effort on things that don't get tabulated. And in some ways, that kind of energy as a leader is winning energy that other people get encouraged. Well, if Scotty's going all out like that, I better do it too, says Grady. Oh, I better do it too, says Jonathan. I better do it too, says Jamal Shea. You know, Kevin Durant, as a leader on his team, what does he do when he comes out and gets on the court these days? The bare minimum. The bare minimum. You could see that man standing around like a crane in a swamp in the middle of the court. Like, he may even put one leg up like a crane. He's just standing out there. I don't see him going extra effort on any of the kind of JYD, Kurt Rambis, Dennis Rodman kind of plays. I don't see him hitting the floor. I don't see him hustling. I don't see him talking to his teammates. I don't see him getting after it. He's basically out there as a threat to be offensive in certain ways, but some ways he doesn't even show up to be offensive as a threat. He's just doing cardio, running up and down the court in recent years at times with Brooklyn and Phoenix especially. And it's like, bro, if you're going to be a leader of this team and you're going to be so important, you better fucking lead the team because you're leading the team in apathy and standing around like a crane in a swamp. And in some ways, that's not the right kind of leadership for young players to get better and follow what you're doing as an example. That's a big part of the problem with Kevin Durant right there. In some ways, he is waiting for his teammates to show up and show that they're worth him playing harder for. That's the mentality he has in his head. I can tell. I'm watching him. He's waiting for players that are not as good as him, maybe not even half as good as him, to show up and go better, and then it'll encourage him to go out and play better himself. That's the opposite of Scotty, as far as I'm concerned, right there. Does that make sense what I just said about Kevin Durant? What I just said, he's like a crane out in the swamp, just standing around. Kaz is saying, thank you, MJ. I'm having my first girl after my only son, so I'm nervous and excited. Any tips on raising a daughter? Wow. Yeah, that's going to be a different world than having a son for sure. But you know what? It sounds like you and your wife are great parents, and going to the game this year and all the other fun stuff you're doing. Cass, follow your instincts, and in some ways, you seem like a good, kind-hearted person. That in some ways, look, parenting, I don't know for sure, but from what I can understand is it's not an exact science. And in some ways, you're not going to be perfect. You're going to have mistakes, but if you have good intentions in what you're trying to do with your children, usually it works out. So, I would say, what, the one main thing, if I was a parent, I would allow my child to be who they're supposed to be, who they want to be. And I think that too often the place where parents get in trouble is where they're trying to force what they want their child to be on them way too much. And I think that's the biggest problem with conflict with kids and their parents often, is that parents have an idea or a vision of what their life path should be. And often it's very controlling and restrictive. And it's not fair to the kid to actually discover who they want to be in their life. Does that make sense? I shouldn't be giving advice on this because I have no experience in it, but I'm just going by what it seems like from the outside. I might be right on point, though. I don't know. Shaq Lindsay saying this. Brandon Ingram said one of the things that attracted him to Toronto is playing with Barnes because of his selfless, hardworking attitude and approach to the game. Yeah. I think that Brandon was attracted to Toronto for a few things, but Scotty was definitely one of them. Scotty is like I said, he's a leader, and his way that he goes about things encourages everybody else to be more like him. And that's really, really good because he's a team player. He's a selfless player. And in some ways, that is something that's worth more to me than a guy who scores 30 points and just kind of scores 30 points. Anybody can go out and score 30 points, casual basketball fans. Maybe newer basketball fans that don't understand the history of the NBA. Everybody's talented. Everybody can put the ball in the hoop. This has always been the case in the NBA. If they really wanted to force somebody to get 30 points a game, they could feed him all day and night, and they probably would be able to do it. But would it be efficient? Would it be the best game plan for a team? No. In some ways, sometimes teams only have one good player on their team, and they have to force it to them over and over again. And it's too limiting. The other team knows the game plan. They already know what they're going to do. So in some ways, having a player like Scott, who's selfless, his stats don't matter. I'm telling everybody right now, Scotty's stats do not matter because he's adding to winning no matter what he's doing. He could end up with 8 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists, and 2 blocks and a steal. And that's a good game for him. Some people would say the 8 points to say, oh, fuck, Scotty had a horrible game last night. He only got 8 points. But did you see how much he did everything else? That's what I'm saying. So in some ways, if you allow your leader to be an all-around player like that is leading an example in energy and communication and defense and doing the dirty work, your other guys are more likely to follow the lead of that. And then you got winning plays coming from all of your roster. That's what I'm saying. Your leaders set your tone. And I think a lot of the people that are critical of Scotty Barnes are not understanding how he leads our team in a really, really winning way. And they need to understand this. And maybe I elaborated enough just now that they can see it all of a sudden. Holy shit, Lex is right. It doesn't matter how much Scott scores. It's about him in the moment doing exactly the winning play for that moment, whether it's a block, a steal, whether it's a deflection, whether it's just a really help defense all of a sudden on the side and it gets the ball knocked loose so Jamal Shed can steal the ball. There's a lot of intangibles and things that the stat sheet don't catch. And Scotty Barnes is doing those intangibles. Let's just put it that way. That's right. It's right there. Yeah. Shaq Lindsay saying congrats to the Cavs. I love it. Shaq Lindsay saying, I got two beautiful girls myself, and only one advice is to treat your wife like the queen she is, and your daughters will grow to appreciate and respect you and herself. The one thing I would know is like, you want to teach your children to respect themselves and to demand basic respect from other people. Not like demand it, but don't let other people mistreat you. Have respect for yourself so that you're not in position with somebody in the future that is not good for you because you have low self-esteem. In some ways, the parents can teach their children about love and relationships by showing their relationship as an example. So it is really important sometimes for parents to, put on a good example. And if you're not getting along with your spouse and you're in that house, it can be destructive and it can be hurtful for the young person to see that bad example in their life. It's tough. It's tough. It's really tough. Seymour saying from round robin to robin, all the rounds. Let's go, Calgary. All right, I'm gonna get on this with your round robin, Batman. All right, we'll do this, Seymour. You can get a dunk. Yeah, Surge are surging, and they are going for it. And honestly, they're the team of destiny in my mind right now. I thought that Scarborough could be the team of destiny, but it's Calgary, man. Calgary's the team of destiny for the CBL championship right now, and they're going to get it. Evan Gilliard wants that cup. I'm telling you right now, 165 dunks for you, Seymour, after that one. That's right. Kaz saying, thank you, Shaq Lindsay. Appreciate the advice. And Shaq saying also, men play a role in how women view themselves and their place in this world. Yeah. Yeah. In some ways, like as a father, if I had a kid that was a daughter, I would teach them, I would make them very tomboyish. I would be like, you know what? Gender roles are stupid. You do whatever the fuck you want. If you want to be a mechanic, you want to be a weightlifter, you want to be a fire person, it doesn't matter. I'll support you. I want you to be able to be self-sustaining for yourself and tough. And in some ways, the gender roles of being a demure, weak, I need to be protected female. That doesn't have to be who you want to be. If you want to be that type of female, you go ahead. I'll support that too. But if you're naturally not that, you want to be somebody else, you can be whatever you want. And that's the way I would treat it if I was in that position, because I feel like it's important to teach women self-respect and also to not accept bad behavior and mistreatment from people, because that's a big part of what happens. They fall in traps and abusive, toxic relationships later. And that's why also the example that you give the kids of your own relationship is important. If it's a toxic, abusive relationship, that's not the right kind of messaging and imprinting on your young child. And that's sad. Like, that's why I would say to women, even if it's tough and you don't want to be with the person and you're in an abusive relationship, get the fuck out still. Even if you're worried about tearing the family apart and things like that, you may be saving some of the trauma for your child by not engaging further in the toxic behavior around them over and over again, even if the family is broken up. It's a tough thing to kind of gauge in some ways. If it's a certain point where it's like, yeah, this is violent and the police are coming, yeah, you might really need to think about getting out of there. Seriously. Fiercely saying Jalen Harris was also with the Shooting Stars, now Winnipeg, with Lex's analysis. Now I get why he's being bumped around. I haven't checked in with him in a while. Obviously I watched him very closely when he was on the Raptors. He had one really, really good game. It was like the last game of the season. And he got the interview after the game. And this is the crazy thing. Like, he had just finished the game and he had scored like 30 points and he'd helped us win. But it's a game that didn't matter. It was at the end of the season. And it was just like kind of, it's a bad season. And we finished on a good note with a win. And Jalen Harris is the leading scorer. Well, within like minutes of the game ending and him coming to the broadcast, I swear he had taken in lines already. Like, seriously. And this was at the Scotiabank Arena in the middle of a Raptors game. Like, where the hell did you go, Jalen? And how did you do that? You finished the game and you walked off and you got something in your hand or something? Because you were on coke, man. I know you were. I can tell. I worked in the bars in downtown Toronto. I've been around cokeheads. And I know how cokeheads act. And you were, and like this in your interview. Like, in the interview, it was so blatant you were on something. at the end of that Raptors game. It was so blatant. I've seen Keon Clark's glary eyes. I know what it looks like when somebody's on something and they're on an NBA court and you were on something. And obviously you were, because you got suspended for a year after that for taking an illegal substance that the NBA doesn't allow. Now you try to say it was poppy seeds or some sort of steroid that is kind of borderline legal, but not, or whatever it is. Bullshit. You're lying to yourself. And in some ways, when you went to New York and started playing for Westchester Knicks and the Knicks and stuff, you had a little bit of a shine there. But you know what? You didn't go anywhere there either. And in some ways, like people are saying now, we understand how you got to Winnipeg at this point. It was cool when he played for Shooting Stars. He came in and played for the Shooting Stars and has a little bit of good time for the Scarborough. Then he went over and he played for, I think he was on Vancouver or somebody. And then he went to Winnipeg. He was on another team. And then he went to Winnipeg. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. He's wasting his life. And in some ways, much like Jonte Porter had a gambling addiction, I'm worried that Jalen Harris has an addiction on the down low he's not being honest about. And that is completely robbing him of a better, successful basketball career. That's just how I see it from the outside. I don't know. I may be completely wrong. If I am absolutely wrong about Jalen Harris and cocaine, I apologize. I'll retract my message and I'll say I was wrong. But this is what it looks like to me from the outside. This is what it looks like to me right now. Yeah. Yeah. Seymour's saying if he is ahead, Winnipeg has more drugs than any city that ain't a good spot for him. Drugs are really easily accessible in Winnipeg. I feel bad for him. So you're saying it's bad that he's in Winnipeg because he can get the drugs in Winnipeg easy. Wow. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't want to believe what I believe about Jalen, but I'm trying to like picture everything and put it together. And I'm like, something's wrong here. Something's wrong. This guy should be better in his career if he's so good. Either something's wrong or he's a total fraud. There's the only two outcomes for that. There's only two outcomes. Seymour saying nobody in my fam smokes cigarettes. No, never had one myself. Lucky genetics. There you go. Nobody in your fam smokes cigarettes. So you're saying nobody in your family has been a drug user and they don't even smoke cigarettes? Wow. Well, that's good. That's good. That's good. I appreciate that. That's good. Save yourself a lot of trouble. Seriously. Cigarettes are so bad for you guys. I smoked them for a long time in my life, and I'm very grateful that I quit smoking like 6 or 7 years ago. And I'm really happy about that. Fiercely saying at Kaz, daughters are so much fun. Younger, you get to dress them up, doing lots of activities. Example, cultural touristic spots. Teenage stage, prepare your wallet. It's like having a broke bestie. I bet. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. In some ways, once again, I would say whatever the person naturally gravitates to, you should encourage them. It's not like, set them up and say, yeah, I want you to put on this dress and I want you to do this. I want you to do that. It's more like, if this person has an interest, all of a sudden, I don't know, they have an interest in plumbing. They have an interest in flowers. They have an interest in civics and politics, whatever they have an interest in, foster it, feed them for it and encourage them, but also kind of guide them, because there's always going to be sides to every kind of interest that maybe they need to understand in a way so that they can be the best informed about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you're interested in plumbing. Yeah, plumbing's great, my daughter. I will show you how to fix this plumbing problem I'm fixing underneath the sink here in the kitchen right now. Yeah, come on in. Let me show you. Yeah, this and this. Now, if you want to do plumbing, it's not a bad job. It's an apprentice job, and it's a trade. And, you'll have a steady job if you pick this in some ways. If you wanted to be a doctor, you could be a doctor too. But if you wanted to be a lady plumber, that would be fine with me, and I'll teach you. I would have that kind of attitude. It's kind of like the kernels and the seedlings of their interest is the natural things that they're going to be interested in, right? You know what I'm saying? That's right. Let's see. Fiercey's making faces about money. Wayne's saying nobody sensible will debate KD's natural talent. It's the extra tools and efforts that a talent player adds to their game that make them extra special. KD seems okay where his talent resides. Yeah, in some ways, this is like a hunger thing. Like, is he hungry still? Like, how hungry are you? Go on Serge's show, Kevin. Let's find out. We'll see how hungry is Kevin Durant. I don't think he's that hungry anymore. I think he's just collecting checks and he's living his life on the outside of the NBA, going after women. And I think that's it. I don't think it's about necessarily winning. Now, is he going to try and win a championship with the Rockets this year? Sure, he's going to put an effort in. Is it going to happen? I don't know. I don't know. If Freddie has anything to do with it, he's going to try and make it happen. But Kevin, I don't know if he's going to put his fair share into it, honestly. Now, in the Rockets, is he going to have to do more than he had to do in Brooklyn or Phoenix? No, because there's a way better supporting cast. And maybe the Rockets can work with his talent and get the best out of it and not have to rely on him so much because they do have Sengun and Thompson and different people on their team that'll kind of carry things. I don't know. We'll just have to see how Kevin works in Houston. As I told Smooth Brown Man, who's a huge Rockets fan, he's really overjoyed about this move. I'm not totally sold that this is going to work with Kevin in Houston. In some ways, it's going to be up to Kevin whether it's going to work. And in some ways, it may have to do with his attitude. It may have to do with whether he actually wants to honestly show up in an honest way to try and help them win. Because I don't think that that's necessarily who he is at this point. And that's why he may even get in the way of them winning, even if. It's kind of crazy, man. It's kind of crazy, yeah. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Fiercely saying it shifts to restaurants and activities they love. Mine is basketball and shopping. There you go. I like that. Kaz saying, MJ, my wallet. Oh, no, laughing. Seymour saying, a broke bestie. Laugh out loud. Yo, that's funny. Smooth saying this. Jalen Harris. Wow, I really thought he would have been on an NBA club. That's too bad. Well, promise and talent and skills is only so much that will take you somewhere. And if you're just not working on top of that talent and pushing you forward, you're not going to get further. There's a lot of guys that are really talented that can play basketball. The difference is how much work are you putting in? Are you working as hard as Pascal Siakam, or are you playing piano with your life? Because you know what? A lot of people are playing piano with their life, and they are not working as hard as Siakam or Fred or Norman. The grind is understood. They bet on themselves. Don't play piano with your life. If you're an NBA player, Jalen Harris. That's right. DeMar DeRozan code. That's what I'm talking about right here. That's right. That's right. Seymour saying, I think Precious Achua not being in the league is surprising too. He could be a good example of this. Extremely athletic talent that has so much potential, but things are not connecting up here exactly right. Things are not gotten. Maybe Precious is a nice guy. Precious is an easygoing, fun-loving kind of guy, but some of the stuff that has to be connecting, as far as connecting, well, this with my NBA career, if I do this, and then I can make myself a niche of this kind of player, and I'll stick around, kind of like my friend Chris Boucher. I think that Precious is having a hard time sticking to finding a niche and a necessary thing that makes him valuable in the NBA, and that's the big problem here. I think in some ways, a problem for Achua is that he's so all around good in certain ways that he needs to focus on a couple of things to be very, very good at. And then he'd be in the NBA more ensconced and in there. But right now, I think that Precious is kind of looked at as like a weird player for the last 5 years or so in the league that has a lot of potential, but is not going anywhere. In certain ways, like the growth potential cerebrally by taking his immense physical talent and directing it in certain ways is just not happening. And in some ways, this free agency and him sitting on the outside looking in is very telling of this right now. It's very, very telling of this. I mean, I feel like Precious is an extremely good athlete. I would love to have Precious around on our team still, but maybe they're like, you know what? We don't need Precious. We've got Jonathan. Because Jonathan has a lot of the same athletic potential as Precious. Not exactly the same talent. He's not as talented as Precious. I'm going to say that right now. But maybe Jonathan has more connecting things up here as far as this is what I need to do to stay in this league, because he's just more with it and understanding it. And it's just not getting through to Precious. Could that be what it is? I don't know. I'm just speculating here. Kareem saying, did we say fuck Ed Rogers the third yet? We need to continue this smear campaign. Of course, we have to make the quota of fuck you, Ed Rogers III, for firing Masai Ujiri this summer. You idiot. That was a bad business move. And here's the 2-finger salute for you, Ed, too. Yeah. Keith Pelly, you're a reprieve for now. making a very intelligent decision on the general manager position for the Raptors and head of basketball operations, Bobby Webster. That's right. That's right. I second that. Seymour has seconded the FU Ed Rogers III for today. There you go. It is in the books now. It has been seconded and ratified. Don't. Wayne saying Precious is not surprising. Highlight a noticeable improvement in his game from observation. Has a lot of attributes, but no real improvement. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in some ways, look, if I was Precious and I was cerebrally trying to figure out my game and what I'm doing, I would be more concentrated on block shots and rebounding as much as possible. I would make myself such a crazy ass good rebounder. And I would get more well known for being a lockdown defender, too. I mean, when he played with Scotty and OG on the Raptors, he should have been trading notes with everybody and being more and more. We know Precious is a great defender, but in some ways, he really, really needed to get on that lockdown defense kind of stuff and be more well known for that. In some ways, he's not going to be known as a three-point shooter. In some ways, he's not going to be known as an offensive player from the outside coming in. He's more of a garbage scorer off of offensive rebounds and getting the ball in the lane and putting it back and stuff like that. Maybe transition stuff. He can do stuff with that. But in some ways, his strength is not going to be the offensive end. And I think in some ways, maybe they tried to develop him more on the offensive end. It's gone nowhere. Maybe that's part of the reason why he's stalling out in his NBA career right now. Because the defense is good with him. The rebounding's good. He's a fairly good shot blocker. But in some ways, the offensive threat of him is not there. And he's a dead note on the other side where defenses don't have to worry about him. They can leave him. And that makes it harder. And that may be part of the problem, too, is right there. Yeah, right there. Reggie's saying this. There's no real pressure on KD to deliver in Houston. The fans are really, really invested. I know all about his social life with Drake and Liz Cambridge. It's concerning, but he is saying all the right things. Yeah, we've seen Kevin recently with Adonis, Drake's son, hanging out on social media, just like they're buddies. It's like, I don't know. Is this the mentality of Kevin Durant? His peers are 6-year-olds. Maybe that's part of it right there. Maybe this is part of Kevin's problem. He's hanging around with Adonis too much, and that's like his best friend, and he's like being childish. I don't know. Could it be? Don't talk about my friend like that. I'm sorry. I shouldn't make fun of Adonis, but Drake, you opened him up for that by putting him out like that as a child. That was wrong. You know that when Adonis is in his 20s, he's going to hate you for that, Drake. He's going to be like, Dad, why'd you make me make that video with Grady? Why did you make me make that video? I'm so embarrassed by it now. Yeah, you know that shit's happening, Aubrey. When Adonis grows up, he's going to be like, why the fuck did you let me make that video, Dad? I don't know, like that. I think you're right, Reggie, that in some ways the pressure on Durant in Houston is off. It's not like in Brooklyn. It's not like in Phoenix. It's off in a lot of ways. But also, I don't want him to cause your team to be pulled down because of his energy. In some ways, it's not even necessarily what he does and doesn't do on the court. It's his presence and his vibes around the team. It's kind of the way, in some ways you got to be a little bit worried about your boss at your place. Is you're like, oh shit, here comes the boss. Y'all shut up. Shut up. There may be a little bit of that kind of energy around Kevin Durant with some people in some ways, because kind of like you're in awe of him. He's a top player in the history of the NBA, but also at the same time, he's got a weird personality. And in some ways, maybe he's a dick. In some ways, yeah, fuck you. Get away from me. Let's say Jabari Smith. What the fuck are you doing right here, Jabari? What the fuck, man? Get off of me, man, in the practice. Who knows? We don't know. I'm pretty sure Kevin's a pretty good guy. He's a nice guy. I think that Kevin's a cool dude in his regular life, but who knows how he is on a team? Who knows how he is? Maybe he's slapping people behind the scenes like Giannis, like y'all are saying. Maybe it's like that. I don't know. But I think you're right. There's not as much pressure on him in Houston. And there's a lot of ways where this could go really well for them. They, in some ways on paper, look like one of the best teams in the West right now. Honestly, they really do. They really do look like a top 3 team in the West once again. I mean, they were a top 2 team last year. They probably will be in the top 3 of the West again with Kevin. And it may not even matter if Kevin's healthy or not. Seriously, it could be very well that Houston's a good team without him. and they carry themselves with even with or without Kevin. In some ways, Houston needs to mimic Toronto in 2019 with Kawhi with Kevin Durant this year. In some ways, they very much need to load manage his ass. Seriously. Let's see. Smooth saying things. I hope the Rockets. Hang on. Things. I hope the Rockets do well. If they don't, shame on me for believing. No, you're a fan. If you want to believe and you're positive about them, I'll give you that, man. I mean, a lot of signs point to the things are going to be fine. As far as I'm concerned, I've said if this doesn't work out for Kevin Durant in Houston in this situation, nothing's going to work out for him in this league. And he's done. If this is absolutely like Phoenix or Brooklyn, that motherfucker needs to retire. I'm serious. Because if you can't be on a team with Fred VanVleet being around to help sheriff things and keep things healthy and non-toxic, you're fucked, man. If you have that energy that you had in Brooklyn and Phoenix, come to Houston this year, Kevin Durant. You can't play in this league anymore. You might as well hang it up. That's what I'm going to say right there. That's what I say right there. Yeah. Cream saying Precious Achua, jack of all trades, master of none. Yeah. In some ways, that's not totally off right there. Seymour saying, I guess we all should just sit back and nitpick everyone's comments, laugh out loud. I mean, it's kind of what I do on this channel. I mean, I'm nitpicking. I'm not trying to nitpick anybody's comments, but in some ways, I'm analyzing the comments and we're just talking about them. I don't know. Did I rub you wrong? If I did, please let me know. Please let me know. Smooth saying Drake also has a home in Houston, so KD is there a lot. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Really rich people that have like 5 homes, 6 homes. How can you live with yourself when there's so many people that don't have a single home for themselves? Seriously, it's disgusting. The wealth inequality in this world is getting worse and worse. And Jeff Bezos is worried about having 20 homes, and there's people out there that don't even have a room for themselves. And that's messed up. There's something wrong with that kind of world, that wealth inequality. And well, we right the world, we get it more just, we get it more humanistic. We're going to fix that. And we're going to make it more. I mean, it'll be a mix of socialism with, some sort of form of merit system where if you go above and beyond, you can get more for your life. But I really, truly believe in UBI, universal basic income. And with the AI coming and taking all the jobs, if governments really want to have healthy societies with people that live longer and they prosper and they do contribute to society, you need UBI. We need to have a floor income that will take care of everybody's housing, food, and all their expenses. And there should be a ceiling income. You get to this point of making money, you're done. You game over. You won the game. You got this money and you're set for life and you can't earn any more. And everything else you earn on top of that is a tax and goes straight back into the public services for everybody else. That's a floor ceiling model of income. And it will fix wealth inequality in a lot of ways because we want to take care of everybody at the floor, at the bottom. Everybody should have a place to live. Everybody should have food on the table. If we're a truly modernized first world country, if we're truly going in the future and we have wealth and abundance, this is how it should be used and shared. And I really, truly believe in a floor ceiling model of economics where there's a floor income that everybody gets so that their needs are taken care of and they have a house over their heads. Nobody's homeless. Nobody lives in the park. Nobody starves. No children starve. Everybody gets good education. Everybody gets free healthcare. Everybody gets free education to university. And that's the world that we should be living in. That's the way that a lot of countries are already doing it. But there's too many predatory corporate kind of people in this continent that don't allow it in the United States or Canada. But if we're going to get to a more just society and a vision of what we want to see in the future, we should aim for what I just talked about. Because the best system is socialist. China's doing the best job in some ways, besides their human rights violations, as far as socialism is working. Communism in China does work. And there's a lot of people over there that are not falling through the cracks because China takes care of them. And that's something they don't talk about with the Chinese country, is that there's actually a very good safety net, social safety net for everybody. And you know what? We could be more like that. It's just that people are greedy as fuck on this continent. Seriously, it's greedy. That's right. I don't even know where I got to that with. It's wealth inequality because Drake has so many houses. Fierce is saying Precious needs to be in a team who is more defense oriented. Wishing him well. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Precious. Some ways NBA career and years in the NBA is not guaranteed. You get what you get. And if your time is 3 years, your time is 3 years. If your time is 6 years, your time is 6 years. Your time is 1 year, it's 1 year. It's just what it is. And well, that's why you don't want to mess around. You better make yourself a commodity and valuable, and then you get your spot, and people will value you staying around. But in some ways, Precious has not done that. In some ways, he's not done that, and it's very telling that Tom Thibodeau didn't want to use him in his rotation in the playoffs at all. I think that's crazy to me because a couple years ago he was very useful for the Raptors in a series against Philadelphia. And they didn't use him at all in the playoffs this year, which is really strange to me. Really, really strange. He's helpful. Shaq Lindsay saying no one's disputing KD's talent. It's his ego. Yeah, I think that's exactly right. You got to ask yourself, why did he butt heads with Draymond and Golden State? Say what you want about Green, but Green doesn't respect inflated egos in reference also Jordan Poole. Yeah. Well, in some ways, nobody can have as big an ego as him around him. It's like, wait, your ego's starting to look like mine, Jordan. I'm going to punch you. Bam. It's like, yeah. I mean, that is a red flag, like the departure from Golden State and how it kind of fell out and stuff like that, because they were successful there. And like he should have had a warm and fuzzy feelings about his whole time at Golden State, other than maybe the injury against us in the finals. But otherwise, like everything should have been fine. But no, there's a lot of toxic involved in Kevin Durant in Golden State, even though he won 2 titles with them. That's a red flag right there. That like after 2 titles and the camaraderie, Splash Brothers and Draymond, they're tight as ever, always tight. But Kevin couldn't get tight with them for some reason. What is that about? What is that about? Is ego? Yeah, that's probably right. Wayne's saying KD's nonchalance has nothing to do with Drake. Aubrey is touring 90% of the time. KD is just collecting money. Yeah, yeah. I think that that seems like that's right. That's right. Let's see. Let me keep going. Shaq Lindsay saying Precious should have been in the D League before entering the league. Honestly, if Precious had been connecting some of the dots easier in his career already, he would be further along, but I just don't think he's got it. I just think in some ways it may be that he just does not have the ability in his mind to see the whole picture and rationalize what to do for himself. I think that in some ways it's kind of like the frustration we have with people like Jalen McDaniels. It's like Jalen McDaniels, look at your body, look at your height, look at your skill set that possibly could be there. Look at your brother. And what the hell are you doing in your life? He's just not getting it. It's just things aren't connecting up here to say, oh, I need to do this more. If I work on this skill, if I put in the work in this way, I will get better and I'll be more useful to an NBA team and get more likely to get another contract. I feel like there's a disconnect in some players, and it may be that they're just not capable to cerebrally capture it all and see the whole big picture and know what to do to help themselves stay in the NBA. I think that's part of it right there. I think that's part of it. Let's see. Kareem's saying the problem with KD is that he lacks the drive. That's it. Yeah, I wonder about that. The lacks the drive. He seems like, some people may look at Kevin Durant and the way he behaves and the way he carries himself and say that's a depressed individual. That in some ways, you know what? He's actually depressed on the down low. That's the problem here, is that in some ways he's dealing with depression in a very public place and public way. But in some ways, he's not getting the help that he needs. He's not getting the awareness of maybe possibly where that may be interacting with him. And it could very well be he's in an ivory tower of his own self. Then nobody will say anything honest to him because they don't want to get out of his circle. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing happens. Recently I watched the Stunted Growth on Sebastian Telfair, former Raptor, and his ivory tower of yes men will not tell him the truth about what is wrong with him and what he's doing wrong. They just kiss his ass because they want to continue on the gravy train with him. And that can be really bad for players, that they just have yes men and they don't have anybody grounded in reality that's kind of saying, yeah, you know what? Yo, listen, no, your shit don't stink. That's not right, bro. You are not playing right. And in some ways, I'm going to call you out on it right now because I love you, because I'm your brother and I love you, man. And I want you to be the best person, but you're fucking up right now, man. No, there's a lot of people who'll be like Uncle Dennis and like, Kawhi, you're so good, man. You're the best. You're the best in the world. And we need to go to LA. It doesn't matter what Toronto wants. We just need to go to LA. You're the greatest ever, Kawhi Leonard. And they just say shit like that to the person over again. They're never totally real with them. And I think Kevin's got that bubble going on with him. The people are not being real with him up close to him. You think Drake's coming up there and say, yo, KD, man, what are you doing, man? Why are you here with Adonis right now? Why don't you get back on the court and start working out, man? You're playing for Houston, man. Come on, Houston Rocket. Is this what's going on at Drake's house? He's like, stop playing with my kid. Get on the court and work on your game. That's right. That's right. Smooth saying this. KD is a fragile personality, mentally very soft. Fred has to be delicate with him. That may be true. I mean, if anybody can talk to Kevin, I hope it's Fred. I mean, does Kevin have the respect of Fred VanVleet? I think so. And I think that vice versa. I mean, Fred's going to respect Kevin for his place in the game. And I'd hope that Kevin Durant has respect for Fred VanVleet beating his ass in the finals and being a champion over him in 2019. I mean, in some ways, is somebody going to have license to break the bubble of Kevin Durant and say, listen, bro, I'm the NBA Players Association president now. I'm a bona fide leader. I'm a guy who came from undrafted. I had nothing handed to me. In some ways, you had a lot handed to you to get to where you were at. You worked hard and you're a talent. But listen, I went the hard route. And I want to tell you something real, Kevin, right now. And he's like, whoa, Fred, you're going to talk to me, Fred? What are you going to say? And he was like, yeah, listen, I'm sick of your shit. Coming in here with your bad storm clouds around your head. You need to come in here with a positive attitude and pick us up and uplift us. You're a leader. God damn it. And you need to be more of a leader to our team. Oh, is that true, Fred? Is that true, Fred? It's like, is this the kind of shit that's going to be going on? Like behind the scenes and shit like that? I mean, I could only wonder what the discussions between Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks were for a couple years there. Seriously. Oh, come on, Dylan. You got to stop doing this with the refs, man. Fred, you know that I'm just me, man. And I'm just going to do what I'm going to do. But seriously, man, you're fucking up our game, bro. Listen, Fred, Dylan can only be Dylan. You know? I mean, shit. Fred VanVleet dealing with his teammates in the Rockets. This is comedy gold right here. Come on now. Kareem said, in Houston, KD will put in more effort. And that's because he has an actual respected coach. MA won't put up with any half-ass. And that's another factor. Yeah, MA Udoka could very well be like very tough on Kevin, and he might listen to him. I don't know, though. This could also be a source of conflict and toxicness, too. Like if MA goes hard against Kevin and Kevin feels like, fuck that guy, I hate him. And he's like totally toxic afterwards. That can be a problem, too. I mean, Kevin didn't totally respect Steve Nash when he was his coach. He's had a couple of coaches where it's kind of been like, I don't know if he's actually respecting the coaches. And the other thing is, in Phoenix, think about the coaching carousel that it just went through in the years of Kevin being there. It's like every year they switch the coach out. Every year, Frank Vogel, Mike Budenholzer. You know, they're going through coaches with Kevin in Phoenix like he doesn't respect them. I'm just saying this could be a problem. It could be very well the dynamic is that Udoka's like pushing him and saying, I want you to be a better citizen. And Kevin's like, fuck that guy. And he's like, I'm Kevin Durant, and I'm just going to do what I'm going to do. That could be a source of conflict on the Rockets, honestly. That could be a source right there. That could be it. Yeah, very true, Lex. Thank you, Reggie. I want to be fair about this. In some ways, I love Freddie. I love Fred VanVleet. I want to see Fred happy. I want to see him smiling. So the Rockets' success will make me happy because I'm happy for Fred. And in some ways, I don't hate anybody on the Rockets. The coach, I'm kind of not a big fan of, but it doesn't matter. I am kind of a fan of MA, partly because he disgraced the Celtics, and that was fantastic. But the rest of the team, I mean, Kevin's kind of, I've always wanted to like Kevin. And when he was on Oklahoma City in his early career, I thought he was amazing. I was like, man, Kevin Durant's awesome. It was like, if it was like a choosing between Kevin Durant and LeBron, I was totally a Durant guy. I was like, nah, Kevin's awesome. I love Kevin. Early young Kevin was fun to watch, and he really did get after it. But, you know, at certain points, I think it's really when he left Oklahoma City and went to Golden State, he kind of changed. He changed as a player, and a lot of people viewed him very differently after that move, obviously. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see, man. Shaq Lindsay saying, I think Jonathan is more talented than Precious. Both are undersized for their position, but Jonathan's affect the game at different position. It's the difference between talent and skill, or talent and awareness. I think the difference. I think that Precious is absolutely way more talented than Jonathan. He's absolutely a better athlete. Precious can jump so high. And in some ways, Precious is just like he's a stud for athleticism. Jonathan's not bad, but he's not a plus athlete like Precious is. Precious is on another kind of level in athleticism in some ways. And that's why it's frustrating with him, because the potential in some ways, athletic wise, is amazing for what Achua could possibly be. Jonathan, though, in some ways, he gets it more as far as like some of the, like I said, like some of the switching. Like he's been highly rated as one of the best pick and roll defenders in the league. And part of that is Jonathan's acumen. Jonathan's a very smart guy. And in some ways, that's really benefited him in his rookie year in the Raptors in the NBA, is that he's picking up on things fast and he's trying not to make mistakes. And part of it is really understanding his placement on defense and where he should be. And that may be the biggest area that he has on Achua, is that Achua, in some ways, he can often get in the wrong place on the defensive scheme where he is supposed to be, and he fucks it up. This was part of the problem with him on the Raptors during that era when he was in the bench team with Malachi Flynn, is that he would be screwing up defensive assignments because he wasn't in the right position. But Jonathan Mobo seems to have captured the idea of team defense and what he's supposed to be working and moving and going off the ball to come to this person to guard them. And when this happens, he's got that more down than I think Precious. Precious got confused at times. So there's differences here. I think Precious is much more of an athletic stud, but Jonathan in some ways is catching on to how to play the NBA correct more faster than Precious did. And it's got to be real interesting to talk to about this subject, seeing as he's played with both guys. We know he has a proclivity for his best friend Mobo, but I bet you he would probably say, man, Raptors Freak's exactly right on this right here. Precious is more talented, but Jonathan's getting it better, faster, and understanding it better. I think that's it right there. Yeah. Wayne's saying defensively, who on Houston is a defensive player to attempt to lock down opposing players? Yep, we nitpick. If it's good, you get dunks. You know what? I'm going to say the Thompson kid, man. That Thompson kid is dangerous, man. He is a get after it kind of dogged defender. He's annoying, man. So the Thompson kid, he's one of the best defenders on that side. They're going to miss Dillon Brooks this year, guys. I'm going to say this right now. Dillon Brooks, in some ways, is a very underrated NBA player that people malign just because of his reputation and him talking trash, and he's a villain. But Dillon Brooks absolutely is an impact player in this league. And in some ways, just as much as Memphis misses Dillon Brooks, Houston's going to miss him too this year. Watch. They'll miss him. They're going to miss him way more than they're going to miss Jalen Green. I'm going to tell you that right now. They're going to miss Dillon Brooks in Houston this year. So we'll have to see. Smooth saying, if all the billionaires wanted to, poverty could end tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah. Some of the billionaires are doing stuff to fix things. But you know what? Honestly, a system should fix itself, and we shouldn't have to rely on the charity or goodness of people or virtue signaling of rich people. It's like, here's this billions of dollars to this, and they give it to whatever they want and they control it. And often the donations are really kind of half-assed and weird too. And they're not really totally helping the right people. They're kind of pet projects and stuff like that. You can think about Brett Favre in Mississippi stealing public funds from the taxpayers to build a new volleyball facility for his daughter's college team, and that money was actually earmarked in the Mississippi legislature to go towards helping underprivileged people with housing. But no, Brett Favre and them caused a big fraud and directed the money towards a volleyball facility for just because his daughter plays on the volleyball team. Shit like that, man. The $1 Million Man was involved in that fraud too, guys, just so you know, Ted DiBiase. Yeah. But who knows? Under Trump, they may have thrown all those cases out because he's just like, yeah, you guys can do that. We're criminals. Everybody can do criminal things now. So who knows? That may be done already. Yeah. Alas, it's all insane amounts of greed. That's right. Well, that's why in some ways, if that system is what they made it up, let's walk away from it. It's imaginary anyway. Start trading clams again or something. Let's make our own money in localized areas. Let's fucking stop engaging in the bullshit. Let's stop supporting corporate parasites. Stop paying for Coca-Colas and Starbucks and stuff. In fact, guys, I've got another cola today. We did a cola yesterday. We're going to do another cola on the Straight Goods on Canadian Goods. Guys, at Sobeys, they have a brand called Big 8. Have you seen Big 8 for sodas and cream sodas and colas and stuff like that? Well, Big 8 is the brand for Sobeys grocery chain, and it is Canadian. It's Canadian owned, and the beverages are produced in Nova Scotia and on local resources. So, Coca-Cola is not the end all be all. Neither is Pepsi. We can get Canadian colas and soft drinks and drink them. And Beck Cola is a good one. And so is Big 8 Cola. So if you see Big 8 or Beck in the grocery store, those are Canadian colas. And you do not have to drink Coca-Cola. You do not have to drink Coca-Cola. If you want beverages, we can go Canadian. We could go Italian. Like, I love to drink the San Pellegrinos. I'll go to the store. I'll buy San Pellegrino blood orange. And that is a fine drink with a fizz to it. But it's Italian, and you're not supporting the American corporations. So I say every little decision we make financially, economically can have an impact. And right now, there's a goodwill tour going on with Mark Carney and Trump because they apparently fixed some of the tariff problems, but don't fucking fall for this shit. Who cares? They did the damage. And in some ways, even if things are a little bit better with the tariffs in the Canada and the US, we should still buy Canadian. They awoke a giant. And we should go this way and this way anyway. Because I'm going to tell you right now, Americans think this way down south. They've always thought America first, buy only American, buy American cars, buy American products. And in some ways, Canadians have been lackadaisical about this for the majority of time. Oh, no, we'll just buy American products because they're in our face and they're more on commercials and in TV and stuff like that. No, find the Canadian alternatives, find the international alternatives to the American products. And just because Carney seems to be fixing some things with the economics and stuff, don't get it twisted. In some ways, they're not talking about this in the media. We have hurt them badly financially. And in some ways, Trump's talking to Carney saying, can you get Canadians to start buying American goods again? Because they're hurting us. And we shouldn't go back. We should go forward and continue to do this. I'm not going back to McDonald's. I'm not going back to Starbucks. I'm not going back to Coca-Cola. Never, ever again. And I will support Canadian industry and everything till the day I die going forward. In some ways, it's like, I don't need a Starbucks. I don't need a Coca-Cola. I don't need a McDonald's. And then if we do this seriously, they're not telling us that we're hurting them because they don't want to publicize how much power we actually have. And in some ways, what I've seen in the last couple of days between Carney and Trump is Trump saying a little bit of uncle. Canada, you guys are actually boycotting us really well, and we need to fix this shit because American industry is hurting because Canadians are not buying American now. So understand you have power. They won't advertise it because they don't want you to know just how powerful you are. We're doing a good job. Keep going in that direction. In fact, cinch it in and go even further. Analyze your life even further to buy Canadian even further and help our country. There's nothing wrong or bad with this. You're punishing an orange idiot, and you're strengthening our economy and making more jobs for Canadians here. What is not to like? What is not to like? It just takes discipline. It takes research, and it takes a commitment to want to buy Canadian and anti-American, not buy American stuff at all. You can do this, guys, and understand they won't talk about how much impact we're having. We are destroying the American economy in some ways, not just Canadians. The whole world is boycotting them, and they're hurting for it. It's just like Russia when they were Soviets and how they got blockaded from economic interaction with the rest of the world. And like they wanted our blue jeans from the Western world, and they wanted American stuff because they couldn't get it because nobody was trading with them because they had a dictator in charge and everybody was punishing them economically. This is what we have to do with MAGA America right now. And I'm telling you, if you go to McDonald's right now, you're supporting Donald Trump. If you are buying these products I'm talking about, these big American corporate products, you're supporting Donald Trump. So you need to stop buying all American products right now. Right now. It's the best way we can fight this thing. Honestly, it's the best way we can fight this thing right now. Yeah. Seymour saying, laugh out loud. What a joke. I'm sorry. I can no longer take you serious, but hey, who cares? Who are you talking about? Are you talking about me? I don't know. Seymour, you have to elaborate. Stargate saying Jonathan has a bit more b-ball IQ than Precious and paces himself a bit better than Precious. has. Yeah. Yeah. Stargate's pretty on point with that. I think that in some ways, Jonathan's just more self aware of where he should be in his placement for sure. And it shows like he's had trial and error. He screwed up a lot in the first half of last year. But as the season went on, he paid attention with Andrew Jones in 905. He paid attention with Darko and the regular Raptors. And he improved more and more as a team defender and where he's supposed to be and help defense and doubling and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Wayne's saying, not referring to billionaires. Having multiple homes is better because cash deflates in value. One has to put money into assets. Aubrey worked hard. Lex, you mentioned seeing him selling the CDs on the road. Yeah. I'm not going to come back after anybody. I just think that the world is unjust when some people can have like huge, amazing homes all over the place. And there's a lot of people that are living in parks. That's all I'm saying right here. I don't have to single out Aubrey exactly, but I can say that we're all part of the awful system that has allowed this to happen. We're all in some ways guilty of participating in it. And in some ways that system should die because it's not just or right. And it's not healthy for sustainability for the future, because the way it's going right now is there's going to be a very, very, very wealthy, very small percentage of the population that lives behind walls away from the masses who are just clamoring for scraps just to try and stay alive. And that's not a good future. That's not a good future. It's not a good future right there. The way it's going right now. That's right. So we're saying maybe he's like Michael Jackson. He didn't grow up. Who, Kevin? I'm not sure. I don't know. Seymour's saying, seems like a lot of people dealing with depression nowadays. Get out and touch grass. Don't be a KD craft dinner noodle. I mean, this is true. I mean, they are trying to, in some ways it's easy to have issues with sadness right now because it does seem like the world is going to shit. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, but you have to balance the reality of it all and being aware of it and kind of keeping up with current events with your own joy. So you need to allow your space the ability to be happy and have things in your life that make you happy. And in some ways, the other stuff is going to be around. It's ominous. It's kind of fucked up, but it shouldn't be your end all be all focus of your whole entire life. That's really bad. And some people are crusading out to try and fight it. Sure, I get that. But you need to take breaks for yourself and joy. And like it maybe is something as simple as having a goofy conversation with a friend on the phone where you're just being silly. It could be you put on your favorite song on the radio and you dance your ass off. It could be that you just sing in the car on the way to the grocery store. Find joy in simple things in life and just experience the joy in the moment of the now in all kinds of different ways. And that's a good balance for some of the pessimism and the darkness of the whole global situation. It's a little tough right now. It is. It really is. A lot of people, it's natural to feel sad about things that are happening right now. Kareem saying, Precious, Jeff Doughton, Malachi are all casualties of the Nick Nurse era. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if Malachi is a casualty or he was part of the problem. I don't know. I'm not going to give him that. Jeff Doughton tried his ass off. Jeff Doughton, I ain't got no problem with Jeff Doughton. And I don't have a problem with Precious either. Wayne's saying, if anyone can fix KD, it's Fred. And the coach, Emma, leave your ego off the court. That's right, Kevin Durant. That's right. In some ways, like, look, if you want to be Kevin Durant of old, you better be Kevin Durant of old. But if you're not being Kevin Durant of old, in some ways, you can't throw your weight around like that on this team. In some ways, we have other leaders that'll be more active and stepping up and being the leader on the court. If you're not going to, you can be helpful. You can jump in. You can win games. You can be clutch. You can do all that stuff if you want. But in some ways, if you're not being a leader with your energy and your effort and your attitude, you may not be the hierarchy of the leaders in this group in Houston. Seriously, if you're not going to come correct in those kind of ways, Freddie's going to maybe be like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm the president. I am the team captain. And in some ways, Kevin, your energy is not good for us. It's not productive in some ways. You need to chill, bro, is what he's saying. Yeah, Seymour's saying, they tried to ruin MA by saying he tried to holla at Jalen Green's elderly women, but it was not true. You saw what Kevin said to Anthony Edwards this week, too, on Twitter. Yeah, Anthony tried to call out Kevin, saying he's a 36-year-old with 2 burner accounts. And Kevin came back and said, you're a 22-year-old with 4 child support cases. Woo! Wow. Anthony Edwards. Yeah, you shouldn't have came in there for that. Yeah, he got you on that one. He got you on that one. You want to get real with Kevin? Well, Kevin will get real with you right back, man. Woo, woo, woo. Kareem saying, I love that Fred is the representative of the NBA Players Association. But why do they actively choose players who are still playing? Isn't that like a conflict of interest? No, that's actually encouraged because in some ways, they want an active player because think about this. If they have retired players being in charge, somebody could come in and be a retired player in charge of the Players Association until they die. And think about that. If this is a player like, I don't know, let's just pick Isaiah Thomas, first Raptors president, very important person in our history. If he was still the president of the Players Association right now, do you think he would be in touch with the issues that the players face in today's game? If Isaiah Thomas, who has not played since 1994 in the NBA, which is 30 years, if he was still in charge, do you think he would be able to represent the players' perspective correctly? No. So it has to be somebody who's active. And in some ways, that's just how it is. In some ways, if they had it be a retired player, well, where would the term limits be? And when would that be out of touch with what the players actually want? And Fred's perfect for this. Once again, I'll say Fred's a great person to be president of the Players Association because he's gone the gamut of what you can be in the NBA. He's gone from undrafted, third string point guard, fighting for his life to make the league through the G League, all the way up to a max level contract all-star. And so he knows all the levels of what you can be in the NBA. He's the perfect person for this job. And not only that, he's extremely intelligent. He has a background in sociology, and he has a very, very kind heart, and he's a very fair guy, and he's a tough negotiator. So there's a lot of good things about Fred being in that position. Is the conflict of interest? I don't think so. And we got to remember also the players vote for who they want to be the president, and the players voted for Fred. The players just say, "Yeah, Fred's awesome. Fred's good." He said, "Fuck you" in that press conference. He said, "Fuck you," and he said, "Fuck you." I have respect for Fred. He tells the truth and stuff like that. So people voted for him, and they made him the president. They made him the president. That's right. They want to create distractions. Yeah, there's a lot of distractions out there. They're trying to create distractions right now from Epstein and the list. And they had this interview with Maxwell and it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. You can't trust anything she said. It's absolutely, they're trying to cover this shit up. They're trying to save Trump's bacon. And he's making all kinds of dumpster fires and all kinds of other places just to distract from the fact that he was so close to Jeffrey Epstein and that he is totally on the Epstein list. And he's totally guilty of the things that Jeffrey Epstein was doing that people find so deplorable. And that he is absolutely a piece of shit. It's all distraction from that. Is what the distraction's from. That's right. Seymour's saying, Lex, did I see the video? Did you see the video I posted with SGA hanging out in Jane and Shepherd area, Maze Block? Yeah, I saw that. That wasn't recent. You posted that like 2 weeks ago or something like that, right? Yeah, I mean, SGA is a person of the people, and in some ways, he's not that far out of touch with his roots here in Ontario as a young man. And the old circles he ran in, he can go back into those circles and he can meld right back in. It's not that he's gotten all uppity and bigger and better than everybody else. No, his man has all the money in the world. He's happy. He's got a family. He's a champion with the Oklahoma City Thunder. But just like Jakob Poeltl, you could maybe find him in the fan section eating a sausage in the cheap seats. That's the kind of guy SGA is in his personality. Sure, he's classy. He's got elegance. He's got a very astute design sense. And he's a brand. But also at the same time, there's a humanity and a humility to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander that is very touching. And it seems like, if I walked up to him on Kensington Avenue, if he was in Kensington Market, and I walked up to him in front of the Kensington Variety VIP Club and smiled at him and said, "What's up, MVP?" I'm sure he wouldn't be a snob. He wouldn't be a jerk. He'd probably smile real big back at me and maybe blush a little bit because it's like a big deal. And then he'd be like, nod his head, and that's it. He probably wouldn't say anything to me. I bet you'd be like that. He wouldn't be a snob. He wouldn't be like, I'm above these people. That's who SGA is. He's a real guy. He's a good dude. That's right. Wayne's saying this is controversial. USAID and philanthropy are just a rich person's scam. USAID does a little good, but they go to resource-rich African nations. Only government that steal billions mean they have more money. Well, there's a lot of detraction about USAID, and that's part of the reason why they're saying they cut it. is because it was corrupt and the money was going over there. But some ways that's bullshit, honestly. USAID saves tons and tons of lives. There may be some malfeasance with stealing from the top in different ways that's absolutely corrupt. You're right. But a lot of that stuff does get through and goes to places and it saves lives, saves millions of lives. And it's fucked up that that's going away. In some ways, this is a silent genocide. In some ways, this is a silent genocide. They may not be doing it directly like Israel's doing to Gaza right now, but in some ways, the lifting of this kind of aid to help people who may be malnourished and having trouble in different African countries is very irresponsible because people will die. Now, will the reply and the jump into that position by other countries to fill that need for aid happen? Hopefully, and they can save those people. But that will mean it shifts from, and this is the thing nobody understood about the United States being world police. Sure, it's a funny movie, Team America, world police. But when the United States is the world police, they set this tone for democracy around the globe. And part of the reason why it's good to invest in foreign aid in Africa is because you are fighting for democracy to spread across that continent. In some ways, that's what you want, free market and democracy. That's why the U.S. would invest in aid and helping people, because they wanted to show that they were the good guys. They wanted to show that they were the template and the role model for what your country should try and be. Now, you take out U.S. aid, all that diplomacy and all that attitude, in some ways it hurts democracy around the world. But they don't care about democracy in the United States right now. No, they don't. They don't care about democracy right now. What will happen is China will step in. China will start giving aid to these areas where the U.S. used to give aid. Their influence will get more stronger, and they'll become the world police. They'll become the people that are coming to save people around the globe like the U.S. used to. And in some ways, their branch of government and the way they look at the world will spread instead of democracy and United States ideals. This is part of the investment in foreign aid that jabronis and MAGA don't understand because they're low-level thinkers that aren't intellectuals and don't understand the dominoes that fall with decisions that they're making. And one of the decisions is you take all the money out of foreign aid. Well, kids die, people starve, but somebody else jumps in and tries to be the hero. And all of a sudden they're the hero and they're more influential and more important in the world stage. You know, that was part of the reason why the commitment to saving the world and trying to help the world was so important in the United States, is because they wanted to be the dominant power. They wanted to be the world power, the number one power in the world. And that's the way you show it. We're so good. We're so badass. We can help people, and we're going to. And we're the good guys. We're G.I. Joe. We're Snake Eyes, Scarlet, and Stalker. And we're coming to help you in your country here against the bad guys. Well, we're not that anymore in the United States anymore. No, we're not. They're not. They are not that down there anymore. They are now Cobra. They're fucking Cobra. Cobra's running the fucking country now. And in some ways, the new G.I. Joe force from China is probably going to be more influential and more looked upon as the heroes going forward. That's the switch you get. That's the switch you get. I don't know if people understand all the ramifications of the idiot decisions that MAGA and Donald Trump are making with Project 2025 down south right now. No idea about this shit. In some ways, it's crazy. Let's see. Fiercely saying this. Jonathan has joined the team at the right stage of his career. Darko and team can help him develop. Precious came in the New York Nick Nurse era. Bad timing for him. Yeah. Also, you know, there is also that he played for Miami in his first couple years, and Spoelstra and the Heat kind of dropped the ball with him at the very beginning. He didn't get the right initial development stages in Heat Nation. And in some ways that held him back because he didn't start on the right development path initially as a rookie for the Heat. And I think that's part of what happened too. Stargate saying Anthony Edwards should know better than to mess with a professional troll like Kevin Durant. He and 50 Cent are two of the best celebrity trolls on the net. Enter at your own risk if you go at them. Yeah. That, I mean, there's nothing but truth in what Kevin said to him. So it's like, don't get mad, Anthony. He's just spitting facts. That's just how it is. Seymour saying, no, Lex, I was talking to Wayne, but I will leave it alone. He will do what he does. I just got to learn to respect others' opinions. This is something we all got to do better in this world. I mean, unless, this is what I'll say. Some people say, oh, we got to respect each other's viewpoints and opinions. Not if it's racist, misogynist, and absolutely fucked up and hurtful and trying to hurt people. No. You don't respect the fascist. You don't respect the racist. You don't respect the misogynist. That kind of behavior is deplorable, and there's never a two-way street for that. That you do not give an audience for that kind of shit. because you normalize that kind of fucked up bullshit. It ruins society, and we get to where we're going right now. So in some ways, yes, you want to have respect and tolerance for other people's differing opinions on certain things, but not when it comes to racism, not when it comes to fascism, not when it comes to misogyny. You just say, nope, this is debate is over. You're fucked up. You're a racist. You're a piece of shit, and you're wrong. And you cannot try and tell me that your other side of the argument is a valid argument, because it's a non-starter right here. You're racist, and your racist ideology has no place in this debate, because honestly, it's not a platform that anybody should be taking and standing on, is what I'm saying. So, I think I appreciate you wanting to allow acceptance of Wayne and you having differing opinions. That's a very mature adult perspective and way to be right there. Instead of just saying, oh, you disagrees with me, and then y'all just go at it. Nah, there's nothing about that. Everybody's going to have varying perspectives. That's just how it is. I know a lot of people may have heard some things I've said today and like, wow, Lex is a little bit different than what I think. But there's a lot of things that I do agree with him on. And that's part of it right there. That's right. That's right. Seymour's saying, let's see, Serbia versus Slovenia yesterday was insane. Jokic versus Doncic. Well, I'm pretty sure that Serbia won, right? Because listen, Slovenia does not have anybody but Luka. They live and die with Luka, and well, Luka's not enough to win a game for anybody. So yeah, Serbia should have dominated that game and won it, right? I don't even know. I didn't look at the score. I'm just guessing. That's probably what happened. Let's see. Wayne's saying, have the Raptors confirmed that the hunt for a president is finally over? Yes. Everything's done, Wayne. We're set. We're not doing anything else. Bobby Webster's in charge. There's not going to be a president hired. He's going to be the head of basketball operations / the GM. He will continue to be the GM, and also he will be in charge. He will answer to Keith Pelly and not to a team president. And it's going to be him and Dan Tolzman as the GM and the assistant GM, and they will have support staff added underneath at a lower salary. So in some ways, this is good for cost cutting for the Raptors as an organization, but also at the same time, it's great because it's not toxic. It's going to allow Bobby to be the person in charge and make the decisions without anybody meddling with him. And honestly, he gets to still do the GM job, which is a huge thing to me too. I really do think that Bobby Webster loves being a general manager. He loves crunching the numbers. He loves the wheeling and dealing. He loves calling the other teams and talking to them and hard-nosing them. Yeah, this isn't going to work, Sam Presti. Hang up. He loves that aspect of the job. And I think that in some ways, like he said in the press conference after what was decided, it's just a title. It doesn't matter what the title is. I enjoy the work. I enjoy doing the work. And the title doesn't matter to me. If you're going to say I'm the team president, if you're going to say I'm the head of basketball operations, you're going to say I'm the GM. It doesn't matter. I want to do the job of the GM, and I want to be in charge of the Raptors. And that's what he got. That's what he got. Keith Pelly gave him that, and that's what we got. And that's what we wanted. That's right. That's right. That's what we wanted. Stargate saying true democracy cannot thrive in a capitalist society. Greed fuels capitalism's success. Yeah, and this is the rationale for Peter Thiel, the puppet master of Project 2025, and this whole mess that we're in right now. He's funded the whole thing with JD Vance to become who he is, and he's absolutely pushed this. He's written books, and he's basically said that true freedom and being able to earn as much money as you want cannot be in the same place as democracy. And he's saying, I want to sacrifice democracy because I believe the freedom to create as much wealth for your own self is more important than democracy for all. That's his stance. That's the guy who's driving this whole thing that's going on right now. These guys are puppets, man. JD Vance is an idiot. Donald Trump's a geriatric old fool. These guys aren't actually the ones who have all the plans for this. It's people like Peter Thiel and the people that wrote Project 2025, because in some ways, Peter Thiel believes this. He has a lot of weird views. He believes that women are subservient to men and they're idiots and they should never make any decisions, that they should be in the kitchen and barefoot and pregnant, and that women should never, ever make any decision. This is a gay man that has these beliefs, by the way. And then also that, democracy is not as important as his ability to make as many billions as he wants. Those are his basic tenements of belief. And he is the madman that's in some ways funding this whole fucking bullshit that's going on. And the thing is that the system begets the system. Trump in some ways has had financial problems most of his life. He's bankrupted so much shit. So how does he keep having money? He's a grifter. He rips people off. He makes deals with contractors and then he doesn't pay them. He's very notorious for this. There's a lot of lawsuits in his past where he did not pay people for jobs that he had them do, and he's totally a criminal for that. And so he has that kind of mentality. Now he's grifting at the highest level. Think about all the stupid hats he makes and how much money he's making off of that. He's making money off of back deals and he's enriching himself left and right. His sons are going on TV and bragging the Trump brand is so hot right now. It's so profitable right now. We're hot. Yeah, because they're capitalizing off of this bullshit to enrich themselves. Meanwhile, they'd get mad at Obama if he took a $200 gift from somebody. Meanwhile, this motherfucker can take a jet from a oil-rich country and then make the taxpayers pay billions of dollars to retrofit it so it could be Air Force One. The dude is absolutely robbing us right in front of us, robbing the taxpayers. All the money that should go to healthcare and education and systems for the society are being called socialism and taken away. And where's that fucking money going to? In his pocket, in his fucking pocket. And billionaires are getting richer and they get more money and then they buy more elections and they keep more of the power. That's how it's eating itself. So that's the thing. We got to get rid of the whole system with the money and the elections if we're going to have true representation. And there's all kinds of issues. In some ways, there's going to have to be a revolution to fix things. Is part of it right there. That's right. That's it right there. Seymour's saying I'm up 2 hours before y'all, so going back and forth with y'all is not good for my health at 7:30 Mountain Time. I know we all want to win and want the best for the team, so I can't bump heads with Raptor Freaks. We're all on the same page and the same team, Seymour. If there's anything personal you're taking today, if there's anything I said or anything Wayne said, don't think too much of it. Seriously, it's probably not as big as you think. And I mean, Wayne can be feisty. I mean, I've been around Wayne on the live watches, and man, he's a character. He's a fun guy. He's awesome. I love Wayne. But yeah, you may be mistaking something that was said, and it's not necessarily what you think. Also, we're family, and in some ways, families don't always get totally along. That's part of it, right? Number one, that's right. Wayne's saying, "I'm sorry if I've offended anyone. Difficult to opine in 140 words. I would love to dig in more on certain topics, but it's 140 words, and we all have to move on the thread. Anyways, all agreeing is boring." Yeah, that's it exactly right there. What Wayne's saying, and I appreciate that coming with the peace stuff coming the other way to Seymour. Hopefully that makes. I didn't even see the conflict, guys. I didn't understand where Seymour got upset. Slug Deezy saying, "Lex, we don't pay taxes in America." You know what? Some people, I would say this: if you're not being represented correctly, don't pay taxes. Seriously, what did they used to say? The forefathers, they say no taxation without representation. And if they're not representing you correctly, if they're only representing their own things, then you know what? Then you're not getting represented. Don't pay taxes. I mean, you're supposed to pay taxes. But yeah, people are paying taxes in the United States. That's always been the boogeyman that they always use. Oh, we'll cut your taxes. Too many taxes on you and all this kind of stuff. I don't mind paying taxes in a good country that's well run because I actually see the taxes, the fruit of it in the society that I live in. That's the problem. The billionaires want everybody to think that taxing is wrong and that socialism is wrong. But socialism is the social programs that help us in society. And it's our tax dollars coming back to us in a way that helps the social fabric and the safety net of society. Tax is such a bad word, but in some ways it's absolutely a part of having a functioning, healthy society. And the thing is sad is like all the people on the bottom pay all these taxes and nobody at the top's paying any taxes. They're not giving any of their fair share. Corporations like Netflix and Amazon, the percentage of their profits that go to taxes is very much almost nil. And that's fucked up. That is the thing that people don't understand. They could actually give tax cuts to everybody that's poor and just start taxing the wealthy, and they could fund everything we need. Everything we need. Just tax the hell out of the people that are extremely rich. They've been robbing us already. Get our money back. And you could have free healthcare, free education, free housing, everything for everybody. But they don't want that because they want a society to subjugate people. They'd rather have you in a for-profit prison than in a free house for yourself. That's what they want. And in some ways, that it costs more to do what they want to do than it does to actually just help people. And if you just help people, like they're paying so much money to have all these ICE agents and National Guards stand around. If they actually took a lot of that money that's going towards just having them stand around, they could actually feed and house people with less of that money. It's so fucked up, the priorities, man. Seymour saying, I think that's just it. I want to hear more from you, Wayne. You strike gold and some stuff cold, but we need it. Very astute. Yeah. Yeah. Wayne's an older gentleman that is wise. I mean, from, like I said, from talking to him online and hanging out with him the last few weeks, watching games, I've gotten to know him better. And Wayne has a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience that's very valid and helpful and interesting to learn from, for sure. All right, we're near the end of the chat. We're over 2 hours. Let me just check my tabs real quick. We had some games yesterday. Canada won their game against Venezuela. The CBL playoffs went down, and Scarborough lost to Niagara. And it'll be Calgary versus Niagara on Sunday in the championship game. So I'll be watching that game. If you want to watch it with me, you are welcome to come and watch it with me. Let's go check on Raptors Reddit real quick. Somebody got a new Raptors hat. It's pretty cool. I like it. It's not the NBA paint drawing, but it's similar. There's a really bad trade on here. Bleacher Report has put out a new trade proposal. It's basically essentially Anthony Simons comes to the Raptors and we lose RJ Oshai and a second round pick. This is ridiculous. Why do they come up with this bullshit? And like, seriously, this has RJ going to the Nets and we get Simons from the Celtics. I don't know about that, man. I don't know. That is a really bad, dumb trade. And it's like, what is this? All right, here, some people are saying because Malik Beasley got cleared and he's not in trouble anymore and he's a free agent, the Raptors should possibly consider bringing him in to Toronto. I don't think that's a good idea. In some ways, he's got a little bit of a media circus around him, even though it's not justified. But also, in some ways, we are already stock full at that position that he plays at. And is he really going to add anything more than Grady Dick or Jamison Battle or RJ Barrett? No, he's not. So we're full. We don't need Malik Beasley. But some of the Raptors fans are wanting him to come and play for us. Some of the Raptors fans are wanting us. Yeah. So yeah, that's Raptors Reddit. Just checking in on them. Let's go see the Instagram stories. Sandra Mamu showing some highlights from Georgia. I guess they've had some preliminary games, and they're going to be playing very soon in Group A of the Eurobasket tournament. So yeah, Sandra Mamu and Georgia is going to be taking the court soon, guys. So be ready to watch them in action. Let's see what else. We got Bruno Fernando's listening to Kendrick Lamar right now. Serge Ibaka is back in Congo with his foundation on Independence Day, and he's doing a concert with the people and giving some philanthropy out to the people, which is awesome. Slim Doug is still at TMU playing with the pickup games with the people down there. Chris Boucher is in Toronto still, and he is still putting up that hoops at the TMU University gym right now. Norman Powell's got Cabby on blast, and he's got him in a chokehold, and he's putting his interview with Cabby from last weekend up on his Instagram right now. Good to see Cabby back around the Raptors. Always good to see that. Understand the grind. Let's see. Matt Devlin's got the top assist plays by the Raptors up on his Instagram. Jonathan Mobo's checking in San Francisco. He's at his alma mater where he played for the Dons. He's in California. So that is where in the world Jonathan Mobo is right now. Pretty cool. Let's see. Eric Smith celebrating the great pitching debut of Shane Bieber for the Toronto Blue Jays yesterday. 6 innings pitched, 0 walks, 9 Ks, 2 hits, and 1 earned run. Fantastic debut for the new ace for the Toronto Blue Jays. Very happy to see that. Nab Bhatia's camp finished up this week. Looks like it was a good time at Nab Bhatia basketball camp. And also 905 camp finished up yesterday with Stripes and Coach Andrew Jones. Looks like a good week was had in Mississauga with the Raptors 905 basketball camp. Thank you to you guys for putting on such a great camp. RJ Barrett has a picture up he posted yesterday of him working out with Kelly Oubre Jr. So RJ's going one-on-one with Kelly Oubre. That's a great defensive player for you to go against and put steal on steal. So go on then, RJ Barrett, and get your game up. There's Evan Gilliard II before the game last night for Calgary, and they were very successful. Him and Jameer Nelson Jr. pushing and punching that ticket towards the finals. Evan got 24 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 6 3-pointers last night. And when he hit those threes, man, they were really key moments. They lay off of him, and he just bombed a 3, and it was so deflating for Winnipeg. when he did that. Yeah. So good job, Evan Gilliard II. I hope you're back in 905 next year. I really want to see you back in Mississauga. Pascal Siakam was hitting the links and golfing yesterday, and he had a whole clip where he went into the pro shop and he said, I need to be fitted for my stuff. And well, you're a big man. Yeah, you're like a 6'9" man. And in some ways, I can understand where you need the longer clubs. And he said, look, I've been playing golf since I was 5 or 6 years old. And he's like, nah, I wasn't. I'm just coming in now. I'm a beginner. It's so funny. Siakam's trying to be like, yeah, I've been golfing my whole life. And then he's kind of like, no, I haven't been golfing my whole life. But he's got the orange PS hat, the PS hard hat. And I'm like, man, just release the gear, Siakam. Man, I would love that orange PS hat that you were wearing. There's Lou Dort with more footage from his appearance in Montreal a couple days ago with the championship trophy. Really fantastic stuff in North Montreal happening with Lou Gets Dort. That's right. The Haitian sensation was out there and he's doing it right, man. That's so good. And Fiercey Jr. was there. That's right. There's your Instagram stories for today. Happy birthday to Jeremy Lin. That's right. Today's Share the Love Club is for Jeremy Lin, NBA Raptors champion 2019, a great role model and a great trailblazer for Asians in basketball, and a great, just a fantastic story, and just a really grounded, really awesome dude. Honestly, I'm proud of Jeremy Lin and Jeremy Lin as a Raptors champion. So happy birthday, Jeremy, 37 years old today. Also, happy birthday to Joe Weezy. Joe Wieskamp, his birthday today is 26. And Sean Marks, the GM of the Brooklyn Nets, fuck Brooklyn, but also a former Raptor, guys, is 50 today. So happy 50th birthday to Sean Marks, the GM of the Nets, who's also technically a former Raptor, guys. He did play for our team at one point. So yeah, there's a real quick rundown on that. Let's go ahead and do the classic card. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat real quick. Let's see. TML saying Leafs fan too. Not really. I mean, I'm historically supposed to be TML fan, Toronto Maple Leafs fan. My father grew up in the beaches here in Toronto, and he used to go to the Maple Leaf games in Maple Leaf Gardens in the 50s and the 60s. Yeah. So he used to go and see the Leafs when they were winning Stanley Cups. And historically, I'm supposed to be a Leafs fan, but I'm not really. I really am a huge Raptors fan. I feel like the Leafs have been horrible to the Raptors and within Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. Part of it is Richard Petty's fault from the early days of when they consolidated the teams together. It was really bad for the Raptors. If we had been able to have the Air Canada Center without the Leafs involved, I would have been so much happier. The Leafs should have just stayed in Maple Leaf Gardens, honestly. And they shouldn't have came with us but we couldn't do it that way. And Steve Stabro strong-armed some bullshit and made it so that the Raptors were owned by the Leafs. That was really bad for us. In fact, a lot of the early stuff that we did with our franchise that was right with Isaiah and John Batov went out the window once the Leafs got involved. So I have resentments towards the Leafs because I feel like the Leafs have been toxic towards the Raptors on the down low in all kinds of different ways. I want to root for the Leafs. Historically, I should because it's in my family. But in some ways, the Leafs are like this spoiled kid that you go to school with that everybody hates. That's kind of who they are to me right now. And I mean, if the Leafs won the Stanley Cup, I wouldn't be upset, although y'all would be extremely obnoxious. You'd be extremely obnoxious and you'd kind of be annoying. No, I'm more a Winnipeg Jets fan at this point. I like the Jets because I have family in Winnipeg also, and they lost their team for a while. And I was so happy to see them get a team back up here in Canada from Atlanta. And in some ways, they're the opposite of the rich, spoiled kid like the Leafs are. They're the kid who has hardly anything, and they scrap to get what they got back. So a lot of this is the reasoning why. Yeah, in some ways, I get mad at the Leafs because the Leafs, much like Brendan Shanahan did as the president of the Leafs recently, he's an asshole. He was like, we can't have any Raptors pictures on the lower concourse of the Scotiabank Arena. It should be all Leafs pictures. Fuck you, Brendan Shanahan, and fuck your racist ass shit. The Raptors are a badass product, and we're growing and we're bigger and better and badder, even though we're not totally winning in the last couple of years. Our money and our stock goes up. And in some ways, the Leafs have such a culture of toxic dysfunction and bullshit that it just makes it hard to root for them unless you're a masochist and you're all about pain. So, no, I like keeping them separated. In some ways, I'm pissed that the Raptors and the Leafs are so closely intertwined under Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. In some ways, I'm scared of Ed Rogers saying he wants to integrate the Leafs, the Jays, and the Raptors more together. In some ways, it's like, the Leafs in some ways are annoying. They're like the annoying cousin that comes to the family reunion that thinks they're the hottest shit, but they're actually a failure in their life. And also, they're kind of like, I hate them because in some ways, from working for Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, because I worked for them and I worked Leaf games and for Raptors games during the Vince Carter, Matt Sundin era. I saw exactly how the company pushes down the Raptors from the inside and is not helpful to them and props up and gives everything to the Leafs. So, I mean, if you're in that kind of situation as a sibling in your family and you have a brother that just gets doted on all the time, how do you feel? How do you feel in that situation? So, and you can get over the coverage of hockey versus basketball in Canada. I get it. Hockey's more important, but the little bits that they just throw in on the Raptors, sure, I have resentment. Sure, I hate the way the Leafs are over analyzed and over covered on sports TV and radio in Toronto. Yeah, because in some ways the Raptors don't get a fair shake in this. And in some ways people will say separate but equal, but no, it's not like that. It's not like that. So yeah, there you go. Leafs fan too? I would be. I should be. I should be, but the Leafs are all fucked up and toxic. And in some ways they've hurt the team I actually love. And that's what it is right there. Isaac saying Trump reportedly Michael Porter Jr. 2.3 billion out of crypto alone. Yeah. There's all kinds of schemes and rackets that Donald Trump's running right now, right in front of everybody, and they don't even realize it, man. It's so fucked up, man. It's so fucked up. In some ways, that's why I'm saying if these guys want to make monopoly money, real money, go ahead and do your own system. We'll make up new systems in the future, and we'll reject the economics of today. Because honestly, who cares if you've got $1 billion if we don't give a shit about the value of it? Seriously, that's how we fight the billionaires. We say, oh, you have $1 billion. Who cares? None of this shit was worth crap at this point. If we all decide this at some point as a majority, we could actually change the world this way and just say, you know what? Money doesn't matter what you think. We're going back to trade and barter. We're going back to simple ways of trade where people aren't trying to put themselves in the middle and profit off of it in the middle, like our healthcare and our housing. No, we're going to get back to the basics. And in some ways, we could get to a point where Jeff Bezos and his bank account don't mean jack shit. Yeah, okay, good. You got all these billions and stuff. We don't care because we're not using your system anymore, motherfucker. I mean, that's part of how we can fight this, guys. Seriously, there are options and there are ways that we can pull the plane up from the crashing, crazy shit of the end of capitalism. Because this fucking shit is going to end soon. And it's either going to end into totalitarian, dystopian prison state, or it's going to end in a place where we can all be individuals and be free and have lives that we want to have. It's our choice. We got to stand up to get it, though. We got to stand up to get it. Yeah. Seymour saying Barnes and Ingram being coined as the two-headed monsters. I like that. I mean, I see it as a hydra. I see it as a multi-headed monster, 5-headed at least with a starting lineup. I see it like that. Yeah. I see it like that. Let's see. Seymour saying there's Leaf fan in here, but we lay low on. This is a Raptors channel. No, I don't mind Leaf fans here, especially if they're a Raptors fan. If they love and respect the Raptors, well, I have a place for them here. I understand there's a lot of Raptor fans that are Leaf fans also, and I want to respect that. My own personal beliefs about the Leafs are my own, but not everybody has to be in the same place as me. That's allowing for freedom. That's allowing for difference. I've espoused on my history with the Toronto Maple Leafs and where I stand with it. And, well, I wouldn't mind fixing things with the Leafs. In some ways, it's got to be the culture of the Leafs fans. They got to stop being so fucking arrogant and full of shit. They got to stop being toxic. And they got to start, being more respectful towards Raptors Nation in some ways, too. And that may help with this. I mean, if they're successful and they're just absolutely poor winners, it's not going to make me want to be a Leaf fan. I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon because they won a Stanley Cup if they're all acting like assholes about winning too. You know what I'm saying? So let's do things with grace, Leaf Nation. It's something y'all have not done very well for decades, honestly. Y'all have not had grace in losing. Y'all have not had any success in winning also. So there's a lot to it right there. There's a lot to it right there. Yeah. Let's see. Seymour saying, let's say in 20 years, what if wealth really takes over and each city uses one team name for all sports? Who would Toronto be? That's a weird concept. I don't really think it would happen that way. I don't know. I don't know how to answer this. Are you trying to say would Raptors or Leafs be the city team? I don't know. That's a weird question, and I don't know if it's realistic. Shaq Lindsay saying Georgia also won, Sandro. Okay, cool. So Georgia won in their preliminary game. I don't know. I didn't know about that game, or I would have tried to watch it. Some of the FIBA games are hard to watch. The America stuff is hard to find. It's really hard to find online. Wayne saying Raptors ownership, we have to give them credit for making a good compromise decision. We have to admit it's basically what we wanted. Yeah, that's why, Wayne, I'm giving a reprieve for Keith Pelly that in some ways maybe they were listening and he was being a good executive and making the right decision. Yeah, that's listen, everything that they decide between Rodgers and Keith Pelly, I'm going to be watching real close and analyzing whether it's a good decision or not, or if it's good for the team or not, because that's the biggest thing in the post Masai world for the Raptors is this going to be taken care of and looked after right? Because with Masai, we could trust it. But Masai's gone. Bobby's very trustworthy, of course, and he's in charge. That's good. That's good. And Keith Pelly's the only person he has to answer to. That's good also. That's good also right there. That's right. All right. All right. Let's get the classic card and we'll get finished up and we'll get out of here. Yeah, we'll do this one. I feel like we've had this guy a couple times already, but we'll go ahead and do this one already. All right, full name answer for the classic card of the day. It's a basketball card, and whoever can name the player on the card first will get trivia points. So here we go. Here's the classic card. It's easy. Come on now. Yeah, this guy's uncle died a couple months ago. It was very sad. Very, very sad when this guy's uncle died. A really important person. Kevin Love is right. Slug Deezy's on. I saw you for a sec. Slug Deezy, you came into the game last night when we were watching, and that was Adriana with me watching the game, and she was in the hospital watching the CBL games with me with her electrodes on her head. I hope that didn't freak you out, Slug Deezy, that we're just kind of in there hanging out and chilling. We had our cameras on because in some ways we wanted to talk to each other through the face to face. But yeah, Slug Deezy's got it. It's only 50-point card. Kevin Love card. It's a pretty recent card. I mean, I guess kind of. He's on the Cavaliers from a couple years ago. Yeah. All right. So 50 points, Slug Deezy. Good to see Slug Deezy getting back on the classic card charts. It's been a bit. And, last year, Slug Deezy was one of the top trivia people. He's got some work to get back up to the top, man. So, Slug, keep going, man. I want to encourage you to keep going and playing that. So it's only a 50-point card. It's an easy one. Kevin Love. Of course, Kevin Love's uncle was Brian Wilson, unofficially. Not really his uncle for real, but he called him his uncle. Brian Wilson, the mastermind of the Beach Boys, that wrote the songs, Heaven is I'd be without you. You know, all that stuff. Yeah. Good vibrations. Bop, 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 bop. Good vibrations. Yeah. Yeah, Brian Wilson, the Beach Boys. Of course, Kevin Love's dad was Stan Love, and his uncles were Mike Love and the Loves and stuff like that. So, yeah, there you go. There you go. Kevin Love. You guys are all jumping on that one there. Roger Raymond, thank you for supporting this channel. But, yeah, Slug Deezy's first in for me. Seymour second. Fiercey, Isaac, Roger. Yeah, Nikola Jokic on the def. Yeah, get well, Adriana. Yeah, she's just a lab rat. She's here. Yeah, she's just a lab rat. They're doing experiments on her because she has epilepsy and she has seizures and she's not sick. She's there to be studied. Like she's got electrodes on her head and they're trying to have her to have seizures to understand them better. So she voluntarily went to the hospital for 2 weeks to stay there to be in this situation. And she's just finishing up her first week. But in some ways, she had so many seizures this week, guys, already, that they may let her go early. So is they good at having seizures? This is the one time we're happy that she's good at having seizures because it might mean she gets to get out of the hospitals faster because she's giving them a lot of data. So yeah, she's just a lab rat. TML fan, Maple Leaf fan, all respect. Do you think you can talk about a possible Nick Nurse reunion? I think he should come back to the Raptors. No, Nick's dead to me, man. And if you want to know the truth about Nick Nurse, you got to watch this channel, guy. Nick Nurse was a turncoat on the down low the whole time his last year for the Raptors. We can't trust Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse was compromised in the last season he coached us. He absolutely subterfuged our season. We should have beat Chicago in that play-in with DeAr DeRozan yelling. Nick Nurse tried on purpose for us to lose. He did not try and coach for the second half of that season. He was wanting to leave to go to Philadelphia. He had made a pact with Daryl Morey the year before at All-Star Weekend. Daryl Morey knew him from Houston because he coached the G League team for Houston and worked with Daryl then. And Daryl Morey came up to Nick Nurse. And this is a year before he left. Toronto Maple Leafs fan. This is why you need to watch the Raptor Freak channel, because you'll know everything Raptors. He said, Nick, what are you doing wasting your life up in Toronto? You need to come and work for me in Philadelphia. I want you to be the next coach of the Sixers. That's tampering. He was talking about that to him when he was under contract with us. So the whole last year that Nick Nurse coached the Raptors, him and Rich Paul, his agent of Clutch, yeah, he's a Clutch client, were working out things with Daryl Morey. Now, the thing is, Nick had success with the Raptors. He couldn't just get out of there. He was under contract. So he had to subterfuge his career with the Raptors. So he started losing on purpose. There was a game that I went to personally against the Pacers that year where Nick Nurse stopped coaching the team in the second half and allowed them to lose a game to the Pacers on purpose. If you watch the Chicago Bulls playing game where DeAndre DeRozan screamed every time we shot a free throw, you will see Nick Nurse sitting on the bench the whole entire second half. Now, when Nick is coaching, he's up on his feet. He's pacing. He's crouching. He's doing all kinds of shit like this when he's coaching. He gave up on our team. He silently quit on the Raptors in his last season of coaching us so that he could be bad enough that Masai would fire him. He did that shit on purpose. He absolutely railroaded himself out of here because him and Daryl Morey and Rich Paul had a plan to get him in Philly. And guess what? Where did he go? He went to Philly. So that's exactly what happened. Don't be stupid. Understand the truth, Maple Leafs fan. And if you want to know it about the Raptors, you got to come in here and listen to us because we see it all. Nick Nurse is a turncoat. He's a turncoat like Kevin Durant leaving Oklahoma City to go to Golden State. He is the same example of what Kevin Durant did to go to Golden State, turncoating on the Thunder, is what Nick Nurse did. He went to a division rival. He went to a team that is bitterly hated by us. He's coaching Joel Embiid. And in some ways, he gets exactly what he deserves. And what happened to him last year with that team being hurt and being shitty and us sweeping their asses in the second year of Darko. So fuck Nick Nurse. Two-finger salute for Nick Nurse. There should never, ever be a reunion with Nick Nurse because we cannot trust his flaky ass. And that's the damn truth about Nick Nurse. Most people will not understand this or know this because they're not watching and paying attention as closely as we are here. That's the truth about Nick right there. And if you think I'm full of shit, I can show you all the evidence that I just told you on tape, and you could see exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. There is no damn reason why the Raptors should have lost the Chicago Bulls in that play-in, but we needed to lose because if we got into the playoffs, Nick Nurse would have kept his job, and that would have gone against the plan that him and Daryl Morey had on the down low. So he had to lose on purpose. He fucked up early years of Scotty's career because he was not trying full out as a coach. And the fucking crazy thing is, because he didn't try full out as a coach, he kind of screwed up his mentality as a coach. He's not a successful coach anymore because he fucked up. He did the tanking mentality to get somewhere like the Sixers have done in the past. And now he's in that mindset of being a loser and not even exactly knowing how to do things right. So no reunion with Nick Nurse. That's toxic as fuck. And we already learned the man. That's why we'll never have the same coach be the coach of Team Canada and the Raptors ever again. Never, ever again can we be in that situation because it put us in a lurch with our Olympic team also because all of a sudden Nick Nurse couldn't coach the Canadian team because he's in Philadelphia. And we had to hire Jordi Fernandez at the last minute to come in and coach the Canada team. He caused all kinds of bullshit for us. So fuck you, Nick Nurse. He may be our champion coach, but I don't respect him the same way as other people do in some ways. It's very basic, easy Raptor fan. Oh, I love Nick because he got us a coach to the championship. And sure, Serge Ibaka gave him a lot of credit recently on Hello and Welcome podcast with Alex Wong saying, I have to give a lot of credit to Nick. He handled me very well going from the starting lineup to the bench when Marc Gasol got traded to our team in the championship run. He made me feel very important still. And he put me in positions to still really help the team. And he helped me deal with coming off the bench at that point. And he also, Serge said often, Nick had me in at the end of the games to help them close the game out. And, that's important. In some ways that was important. Nick's a good coach. He was a good coach, but he's ruined himself because he lost on purpose. He lost on purpose. That's right. Let's go. Let's go. All right, let's see. He's saying if we had Nick Nurse, we would be title contenders, in my opinion. We're going to be title contenders without him. I'm going to tell you this right now. Darko is a way better coach than Nick. And casuals would be like, what? They'll be like, Nick Nurse is a way better coach than Rajakovic. Bullshit. And I'll give you all the itemized list for this. Toronto Maple Leafs fans going to make me go extra time today. All right, we're getting extra period here. All right. Darko is a player's coach. Nick Nurse is not a player's coach. Nick Nurse is a surly asshole. I don't know if you knew this, but Nick Nurse had a policy that nobody could talk to him unless it was during times of practice or having to do with basketball. If he was on his off time, you could not go see him. He didn't have an open door policy. If he was done with the game was over, he's going to his office and playing his piano for hours, and nobody's allowed to talk to him. That was one of the rules he had on the download. People don't know this. Nick Nurse said, nobody's going to talk to me after the games, whether we win or lose. I'm going into my office. I'm going to play the piano, and I'm going to decompress from the game that way. That means no players can come talk to him. That means nobody in the front office can talk to him, and they sleep on it. And the next day, they talk to him then in the meeting when they go over the tape. I'm just saying there's a lot of less access that Nick had with his players. He's not there for his players like Darko is. Darko's 24/7. These guys could call Darko at 4 a.m. in the morning. He'd answer the phone. I'm sorry, Gaga. Hello, Scotty. What's wrong? Oh, he could talk to him. Darko is way more a personable person. He's a caring person. Nick's an asshole. He's absolutely one of the biggest competitive, and this is part of the reason why he's good, is because he grew up in a poor family in Iowa with a bunch of siblings, and they had to fight for everything. They didn't have enough money. And he literally, when he'd go to the dinner table to eat, he'd have to fight his brothers to get food. That's why he's so crazy competitive. But he's not a good people person. You got to understand, he's an asshole. On the down low, a lot of people understand this about Nick, that he's not a very nice person. And, Darko is. Darko's a very personable person. Also, Darko is well-versed with the European style that is taking over the NBA more and more. In some ways, the passing offense of Darko Rajakovic is going to be so sustainable. You think we're not a championship contender this year? You might be right. But we're going to be a playoff team this year, and we're going to look more like we can rise up and get a championship next year because of what we build this year. So, yeah, don't be a casual. Nick Nurse is not an end-all, be-all to help us. In fact, he's toxic at this point. He would be more in the wrong direction of getting towards the second Larry O'Brien for the Toronto Raptors. No, we'll get that second championship, and it'll be with Coach Rajakovic. Watch. And Scotty Barnes and Bobby Webster. That's it right there. Fiercely saying, Nick Nurse reunion, hard pass. Yeah, fuck that. That dude turned on us. Look, man, if your girlfriend left you and went to go with another guy and she called you up a month later and said, I'm sorry, I actually want to come back to you. That's what this shit is, motherfucker. That's it right there. That's it. Holy prayers for Adriana. She's okay. She's happy. In some ways, it's like we're hanging out, and she's just being a lab rat. She's just a lab rat. They're watching her. She's under observation. That's right. Roger Raymond saying, hi, Adriana. Thank you for your contribution to improving epilepsy treatment. Boom goes a dynamite. That's right. Let's give Adriana a huge dunk. Let's give her a 10-pointer. Why not? We're going to give Adriana a 10-pointer. You know what? Fuck this. I'm going to give her a 14-pointer because it's the 14 days she's committed herself to be in there. So we're going to put her at 125. That's where you're at now, Adriana. You got 125 dunks for this season. That's right. Wayne's saying, Adriana, big up. Enough respect. That's right. Thank you, everyone. That's right. So much respect for her. All right, let's see what TML fans saying here. Seymour put it out. What about Kawhi? I was thinking that Nick Nurse could help bring Kawhi back. Man, you're stuck in 6 years ago. Neither one of these guys are the same people that they were when they were on Toronto. Kawhi Leonard's almost done, man. What do you think fucking Kawhi's going to do? Seriously, Kawhi's going to sit on the bench in street clothes. That's what he's going to do. That man was already almost half done before he even came to Toronto. Seriously, we got the best out of him right at the end. It's like squeezing the last bit of toothpaste out of the tube. There ain't no toothpaste in that tube left. In some ways, like, look, if they ain't been able to figure it out in the Clippers, and the Clippers are going to add all these different people around Kawhi, he ain't never going to figure it out. And, as much as I would be interested in possibly bringing Kawhi back, we don't need Kawhi. We got Brandon Ingram. And you're going to see something this year, Toronto Maple Leafs fan,
that is something like Kawhi once again in Brandon Ingram. And he's younger. And in some ways, he's going to be in better shape. As long as God willing, his ankles are going to be fine. We're going to see something from Brandon Ingram that's going to be on a Leonard level. Seriously, Toronto Maple Leafs fan. That's right. You just want to win one more title? I want to win multiple more titles. And we will, my guy. We will. Trust in that, man. We're going to do it again. In some ways, look, Masai may be out. They may have took him out. Ed Rogers may have took him out. But his dream to get the second championship here in Toronto is still alive. Bobby picked up that baton and said, Masai, I got you. I've got you. We're going to get the second championship. And even Masai knew it a couple years ago. He said, listen, guys, I'll be here as long as they want me to be here. But even if I am not here, I know this city is a winner and it's going to win another NBA championship. That's what Masai said. I believe him. I trust in Masai. I trust in Masai even though he's not with us anymore. I trust in Bobby and I trust in Darko. And I wish more Raptors fans would wake up and understand Darko is extremely good coach. And you guys are going to see it when they start getting more and more successful. And you're going to be like, holy shit, the Raptors freak was right. Darko's a badass, and I love him. Because a lot of people are misjudging Darko Rajakovic right now. Very casual, shallow takes on win totals. And in some ways, they're not looking at what he's building. In some ways, like Darko said, when he came in after Nick, he had to strike the whole building down. He's like, I don't believe in building from existing structures. We had to raise the whole structure down that Nick did, and we had to start anew. And the first season of Darko was the foundation, was just the foundation. That's not a real house yet. And this is the thing. A lot of NBA fans don't understand. There's no quick fixes. There's no overnight successes. You have to go through the process of building your roster up and your culture and your team chemistry and everything. The Nuggets didn't get their championship right away with Jokic. No, it took them like 6 years to fucking get to the championship with Nikola Jokic in Denver. So everything takes time in the NBA. Everybody wants microwave shit, make things happen overnight. That's not how it works. And then Darko is building something sustainable that's going to be successful right now with Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley. And it's coming. And we got 2 levels put in the first 2 years. We're going to get the next level. And we're going to get higher this time. We're going to get the playoffs. And people's eyes will be open to it. They're going to see it better. We're going to be more successful this year. And there will be way more respect for Rajakovic because of it. Watch. It's coming. It's coming. That's right. Wayne saying, Seymour, please take that one. Please take that one called TMI. Seymour saying, we will just not with Nick or Kawhi. You will see in Darko and Bobby. Yeah. We can't go in the past. I think that if you're not up to date with what's going on in the Raptors daily, like we are on this channel, we talk about the Raptors every morning at 9:30. Every single fucking day of the year. I've been doing this for almost 1,500 days in a row, almost 4 years straight. If you're not keeping up on this, you're in the past. You're thinking about, oh, we just got to rehash old people and we'll get back to success. No, time passes. They get older and they're not the same people anymore. We got to go forward with fresh faces like Jamal Shed, like Colin Murray Boyles, like Bobby Webster, like Darko Rajakovic, like Jacoby Walter. Those fresh faces, they grow just like the original bench mob, like Fred VanVleet, Norman Powell, DeLon Wright, and Corey Joseph, people like that. We grew with them before. We got to grow with the guys now. Elijah Martin, Chucky Hepburn, Jonathan Mobo, Ulrich Shamshay. So it's like, we can't just go revisit the past to recapture success. That's not how it works. Timelines don't work that way. In some ways, you got to find the new people to go get it. And that's what we've done. We've got a lot of good young players, and they're coming up. Grady Dick. That's right. They're coming up. They're coming up. That's right. Fiercely saying, Toronto Maple Leafs fan, we will win another title, but without Kawhi. That's right. That's right. Maple Leafs fans saying, I think we are a lot closer to winning a title than people think. That's the kind of statement that'll get you in our good graces like that, my guy. That's it right there. You want a dunk? You can get a dunk right there, because this is a lot of what other people are not saying this correctly, because you're saying it correctly. We are a lot closer than people think. And it's partly because, I'm giving you a 3-pointer. You got your first dunk for the channel. This is what we do on the channel. We give a reward to good comments. And this is exactly right. We are a lot closer than most people think. We got the mainstream media in the U.S. against us. We've got the Canadian media against us because it's hockey centric. And in some ways, it's better for the Blue Jays and the Leafs if the Raptors don't look like they're very good, because then maybe the entertainment dollar, some people would say, well, the Raptors aren't good this year. I'm going to go pay attention more to the Maple Leafs instead. So there is an interest in the Canadian media, sports media, to downplay the Raptors' success and kind of say, oh, hold it down. There are a lot of people that are insecure. I'm just being honest here, hockey fan. There's a lot of hockey people that are insecure with basketball's rise in popularity and like taking away from hockey. In some ways, I look at an abundance world where everybody can have what they want and they can get what they want. And hockey can be successful separate from basketball, and they don't have to be interactive. But there are people that are sensitive to this, powers that be, that run the newspapers and TV channels, Sportsnet, TSN, the Globe and Mail, the Toronto Sun, the Toronto Star, and they will hold down basketball, and they want to make sure that it's always a level below hockey, no matter what. In my eyes, I think that it should be covered equally in some ways. But most people say, hell no, Lex, Canada is hockey. Hockey is Canada. But I feel like Toronto Raptors have had success and they've done certain things, and the popularity and the demand is there, that the media in Canada should treat them more fairly. But they don't, and they still don't to a degree. And in some ways, that's just something I've had to come to accept. Now, if you understand that the Canadian media may be holding down the perception of the Raptors from within our own country, don't even get me started with the U.S. media and how they portray the Raptors so badly. And in some ways, they have no idea what the fuck's going on up here because they don't even bother to do their homework on the Raptors. They often just say, I don't understand the Raptors. I don't know what they're doing up there. I guess they must be a C. Then, because I'm not going to actually go do the work to look at it. You're paid to do the work. You should. But I'm just going to blanketly say they suck because that's just the narrative that I want to put out there for people to perceive. No, you're looking through the lines. You're seeing the truth. We added Brandon Ingram at the trade deadline last year, and he is a former All-Star who has clutch ability to score in high intensity end of game situations. And that's something we've lacked on this team since Leonard left. And when he comes to the game and plays for the Raptors this season, we're going to see a winning player that can take over games at the end of games like Kawhi used to. And he will do it in a way that is going to be very awesome and in a winning way for the Raptors. So that's what you got to see right there. This is it, man. I love that comment right there. 100%. See, Seymour's agreeing. I think next year or the year after. I don't know if we'll win the championship next year. I don't think that's very likely, but we're definitely building towards it in the next 3 or 4 years. I think we can have a good shot to go get it. In some ways, the East is resetting this year, and it's kind of weak. So this is a really good time for us to jump up into the higher spots of the Eastern Conference because some of these teams are going down. Milwaukee's going down. Boston's going down. Indiana's going down. And in some ways, some of these teams that are trying to come up with us, like Orlando, Atlanta, and Detroit, they're not all going to be successful. Some of these teams that I just named, those four right there, Toronto, Atlanta, Orlando, and Detroit, two of those teams are going to go up, and one of them's going to be us, and one of the other ones will be the other teams. And I think it'll be Detroit. I think it'll be Toronto and Detroit are coming up, and Atlanta and Orlando are not going to be as good as everybody thinks they are. They're hyping them right now, but I think there's some serious problems with those teams right now. Yeah. Lex would lose his shit. I want to win. Oh yeah. We win a championship on this channel with this channel going. Woo-wee. We're going to go party like it's 1999. That's right. Fiercely saying Toronto Maple Leafs fans. Absolutely. The media are gaslighting, but we are moving up in silence. You know, it's indicative. A lot of the media these days can't be trusted. There's all kinds of corporate reasons for what they're wanting to put out there in the messaging, and grassroots media like myself and YouTube people are going to be maybe more reliable in some ways because the corporate interests of what the messaging is not in what I'm doing here. I have no reason to lie to you guys or any kind of financial backing for what I say. I'm just trying to be an honest person talking about Toronto Raptors sports. And in some ways, my motivations aren't to sell you something and make money off you. So in some ways, it's like that's the difference. In some ways, everybody on TV is basically got an incentive for something. And it's usually this in some sort of way. That's right. Seymour's saying, I had to. Okay. I had to. All right, let's see. Maple Leafs fans say Nick Nurse would have won gold with Team Canada, don't you think? There's no way of knowing that. I think Jordy did an exceptional job considering he came in. Pinch hit. He did a really good job covering up in the time while Nick just took off. There were a couple of issues with the team. I think that one of the problems was Jamal Murray did not play correctly. I think I blame a lot of what happened at Paris last year on Murray. Murray did not come correct with his attitude. In some ways, he was very nonchalant, not taking the Olympics as seriously as he should. And he did not step up and show up for the Team Canada like he could have. That would have helped Paris Olympics. I blame Jamal Murray a lot. I also blame that some of the older players on Team Canada were really showing their age, and they were not useful to us. Kelly Olynyk being specifically one of them. That in some ways, it's just the point where Kelly's at that point in his age that he's just not going to contribute in the ways that he did for Team Canada in the past. And that's just sad. So there were a couple of different things. I think also that the matchup that we got before we got to the medal round was extremely difficult to get through. And it was just going to be that way. Either way, the Paris Olympics were extremely successful for Team Canada. We had not been in the Olympics since 2000. So just returning was a big deal, let alone not just returning to the Olympics. We almost got a medal. We ended up fourth. We just missed a medal. We got fourth place. So even though it wasn't successful, we didn't get a gold. God forbid. Oh my gosh, USA is going to get the gold every time. Come on now. We had a very successful Paris, even if it seemed like it wasn't, because we were just there. And we also finished in the top 5. So that's a big deal right there. Yeah, that's a big deal right there. Seymour's saying, yo, why are you glazing butthole face? Well, in some ways, a lot of people that are not as ensconced and knowing the history and the things that happened to the Raptors, they really look at Nick as a hero. And they look at Nick as somebody who's a very successful coach for us. And that's true. In some ways, a lot of what he did, though, was he picked the baton up from Dwayne Casey and just finished the job that Dwayne Casey actually started and built. You know, Nick Nurse is like the guy who did the group project. He did the presentation at the end, even though Dwayne Casey did all the work to build the presentation. Nick's the one who stood in front of the class and told the presentation. And in some ways, that's all he contributed in some ways. You know, Casey, we need to give way more credit to Coach Casey for our championship. A lot of casual fans do not, and they should. They should. In fact, this whole rumor about him becoming the team president of the Raptors recently, they should embrace that, because that would have been a good homecoming. But a lot of people just look at Casey as a loser because we fired him when he was coach of the year before we won our championship. That's absolutely the wrong take on Casey. Casey is a huge reason why we won the championship, and he deserves way more credit from Raptors Nation. That's exactly the truth. Yeah, please stop. There you go. Isaac's got Darko on blast. I love it. Fiercely saying, no, he wouldn't. Jordy was a better coach to have, considering the climate. Please, no more mention of Nick Nurse. He's trash to me and also to many Sixers fans. I mean, he gets what he gets. Honestly, it was too good to be true. You go coach Joel Embiid, a guy you actually already have a problem with. You're going to go coach James Harden, a guy you made fun of in Turkey when you went to a coaches summit the summer before Nick Nurse. Yeah, and James Harden was like, I will not play for Nick Nurse, and he demanded a trade out of there. And he got out of there before he even had to be coached by Nick. There's a lot more to Nick Nurse than the casual NBA fan knows. And they don't totally understand it. They don't totally understand it. Yeah, Jordy was great. But in some ways, Jordy got the new job with Brooklyn. It was too much. And he turned his back on Canada at that point. But he did it in the right timing. And I'm very happy with the new coach, Gordon and Bear. He's going to be fantastic. He's done some very, very successful things with Germany in the recent years, obviously winning the FIBA World Cup. And, Gordon's going to be fantastic for the Canadian team going forward after Jordy. So we're in good shape. We're in good shape. Yeah, Monique is here. Good to see the super fan. Monique Lawrence is in the house. We're bona fide now because our super fan is here. Good afternoon, Rapid Free Crew. She's making note that we're afternoon. That means I'm late. I'm going over. Maple Leaf fans saying, let's just be real. One Stanley Cup is still more important than 10 of those Larry O'Brien trophies. Oh, now you're not getting it, man. I like the Raptors, but everything always revolves around the Leafs. It does to you, and that's fine. But we're not in a world where your whole way of seeing the world is exactly the truth. You know, my world revolves around the Raptors, and I can say exactly the opposite. I don't think that I think the Raptors championship is worth way more than all the Leafs trophies together, because in some ways it's more recent. It's been more impactful to people in the recent times. It had more of an economic impact on Canada than any of those old Stanley Cups they got back then. How much valuation were they getting? How much money came into the economy? The Raptors win a championship in 2019. The GDP of Canada goes up. Did the country make any money off the Leafs Stanley Cups? Yeah, at that time, and maybe it was a certain amount, and it was a certain percentage, but it's not the same dollars of today. I mean, we could argue about this in different ways. It's just that you're taught culturally to look at it this way. But I'd say that there's a lot of people like me that don't look at it like you do. That don't. It is, you know what? Nothing's correct. It's all personal choice and freedom, right? You're personally free to have that opinion. And I'm personally free to say that you're wrong in my world. And that's just the damn truth. You know, that's part of it too. Is like in some ways, there's a lot of white supremacy ensconced in saying the Leafs are just better than the Raptors. And I mean, that's part of it. That's part of it right there. You know, that's it. TML fans saying the Leafs should be the favorite to win it all next year. They're the favorite every year with the payroll and the power people, the people in charge, the yearning, the want. They're the favorite every year. But do they do it? No, because there's certain levels of dysfunction within the culture and the fabric of the DNA of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And until you guys address those issues, you're not going to fix anything. You know, Brad Marchand pretty much nailed it in the post conference after the Panthers put y'all out. He said, I feel sorry for the Maple Leafs players. I don't think they'll ever win because the pressure that the fans and the press put on the Maple Leafs is so suffocating. In Florida, we can play and do whatever. Nobody cares about us down here like this. We get under the cover of darkness because Florida people have stuff to go do on the beach. They have lives. Maple Leaf fans are so obsessed with the Leafs, they nitpick and they go over every single thing too much that in some ways the magnifying glass gets in the way of their success. In some ways, y'all being doomsday feelers about, oh my gosh, it's happening again. When we start losing series to the Florida Panthers or the Tampa Bay Lightning, the momentum starts going that direction. You start inevitably fulfilling the prophecy because you believe that y'all are going to choke. Because y'all don't give enough room to your players for success and failure. It's only got to be success. And y'all are such assholes about it that you are the ones who are in the way of your own success. You, the fans, because y'all are so fucked up and toxic, really toxic, Leaf Nation. And Brad Marchand called y'all out for it at the end of the playoffs when y'all got eliminated. It's the fans, it's the media that are in the way of the Leafs being successful. The players could have the most successful team. You could have the most talented team. Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, all these motherfuckers. You have a good team. Brett Marchand saying, look, this team on paper is so fucking good. What's the problem? It's everybody else around it. It's the noise. It's toxic. The pressure. The fans going, oh my gosh, it's happening again. It's y'all's fault, man. It's y'all's fault. And what I do on this channel is keep us separated from y'all and y'all's toxic ass thinking. I don't like Leaf fans coming in here talking to me because often y'all are pessimistic, you're negative, you're toxic. And in some ways, one of my biggest goals in running the Raptor Freak channel is to separate our culture from yours. Because honestly, we can have a space for winning and success in Raptors land because in some ways we're, you know, if you're coming into Raptors spaces and trying to be a Leafs fan in the toxic ways that Leafs fans are, we are saying, nah, get out of here. We love our team and we'll stand by our team's success or failure. You guys will shit all over your team for the littlest for failures and y'all will be toxic as fuck about it. It's fan behavior. Y'all need to be better as fans. In some ways, it's like I've told people on this channel, be behind your team. Don't be fair weather. It's a real trait of Toronto sports fans to be fair weather fans. I only go to Skydome if the Blue Jays are winning. I'll only support the Raptors if they're winning. I'll only support the Leafs if they're winning. You're unconditionally got to be a fan like I am. I'm going to support the Raptors if they win 5 games this year. But there's a lot of people that will not support the Leafs because they're like, oh, fuck the Leafs. I'm sick of them again. They've done it again. They suck. I hate the Leafs. They make me feel like such a loser. That's the toxic shit that's around your team right there. And that's why I keep them separated. And just like the offsprings, keep them separated. Because in some ways, all y'all's energy is not wanted or welcome in Raptors spaces. Seriously. So anybody who tells me they're a Leaf fan first over a Raptor fan, I tell you, all right, don't come and tell me anything about the Raptors because you don't know jack shit about the Raptors. That's it right there. That's it right there. Seymour's saying, Lex, no, TML has to go. No, I'm enjoying this. In some ways, we don't allow a lot of different people than our normal family in here. And this is a good discussion. In some ways, he's being fair. He said things that he's optimistic about the Raptors' chances. And in some ways, he said his hierarchy about how he sees hockey and basketball. And that's fine. That's his right for his personal view. And my right is just as valid to have my personal view about it also. It's right there. Yeah. Go Evan. Evan is special. Monique is a huge fan of Evan Gilliard II, who will be playing in the CBL championship tomorrow night in Winnipeg against the Niagara River Lions, the defending champions. Let's see if Calgary Surge can go and get that CBL championship on the shoulders of Raptors 905 player Evan Gilliard II. That's right. He was awesome last night, Mo. I watched the game, and Evan Gilliard was on point. Let's just put it that way. Wednesday, Raptors will be in the semifinals next season. Detroit is the only other team with added players. Although they lost Dennis and Beasley, we're the only team that has added quality. Pacers lost players. Yeah, they lost Miles Turner, too. I'm really worried about the Pacers. Halliburton's out, and they're replacing Miles Turner with Jay Huff. That's not a replacement. Siakam's team's going to struggle next year. The Pacers are not going to be the same team that they were in the finals this year. They are not. I can already see it. Detroit didn't just lose Dennis and Malik Beasley. They lost Tim Hardaway Jr. also. They lost a couple of important players. So we'll see the shuffle up with Detroit and whether it's going to be healthy for them. They may have taken a step back because they've lost some of their important veteran leadership. We'll just have to see. Toronto Maple Leafs fans say, imagine if the Raptors and Leaf won a championship in the same year. That'd be amazing. It'd be very interesting. It'd be very, very interesting. Roger Raymond saying, Lex, party like it's 2019. I guess it would be like that. And maybe. Seymour saying, Nickel shouldn't have signed in Atlanta. I don't like that fit. But the game is played on the court, not paper or video games. Yeah. I like it for Nickel because he has more of a chance to expand in Atlanta than Minnesota. Minnesota was just going to use him off the bench. He was never going to get to start. He's going to have a chance to start in Atlanta. In some ways, he's going to get a chance to start for the Atlanta Hawks, and that means more opportunity for him. It's kind of like Emmanuel Quickley coming from the Knicks to the Raptors. It's like he would have been stuck behind certain people like Jaden McDaniels on the Minnesota Timberwolves, but on Atlanta, he could actually get a starting spot. So it's good personally for Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but it's not necessarily good for winning. We'll have to see. Toronto Maple Leafs fans saying, do you think we could ever get Lou Dort? Yes. And that could happen in the next couple of years, actually. The Thunder are not going to be able to retain some of their secondary stars. They've already threw a bunch of money on Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, and Shea. And, as much as everybody would love to get Gilgeous-Alexander in a Raptors jersey, it's much more realistic that Lou Dort shows up in Toronto at some point. So, yes, I would love this. I think this would be a fantastic move. And if we see Dort gets the Raptors jersey on his back in the next couple of years, yeah, I'd love this. I think that out of all the teams in the league, Toronto has a leg up to possibly get Lou Getz if he has choices as a free agent. Obviously, Canadian, come to play for the Raptors. I don't know how much he cares about the Raptors being a Montreal guy, but it can't hurt. It can't hurt. And I would definitely take Lou Dort and what he gives to a team and his services and the way he is. Of course, a lot of the players on the Raptors right now are already in the likeness of Lou Getz. You could look at Jamal Shedd. You could look at Chucky Hepburn. You could look at Elijah Martin. These guys get after the ball kind of like Lou Getz on defense already. So I don't know if Lou Getz is absolutely necessary for the Raptors because some of the skills that he does are in personnel that we currently have already. Yeah. Toronto Maple Leafs fans saying, I would like to get Lou Dort and Jamal Murray one day. Yeah, Lou Dort would be awesome. A lot of the Canadian guys I would love to get on our team. I'm not so high on getting Jamal Murray, though. I'm not so high on him. He's already a champion. In some ways, he's not as hungry as he should be right now. He's a fantastic playoff scorer. He's an amazing shooter, but he's a streak shooter also. And in some ways, much like Gary Trent Jr., he can go cold and just disappear for you all of a sudden. He's either feast or famine. And in some ways, I never like to put main important players like that on my team and like the first or second most important player on my team. And that's part of the problems that the Nuggets have had since their championship is either Murray's been hurt or he's been unreliable and not stepping up. And as I said, he wasn't reliable at Paris Olympics for Canada. I would be very worried in trusting Jamal Murray playing for us. In some ways, he got a championship already. Is he just good? He hasn't been an all-star yet. He should still be hungry for that. Where's his drive to get that? That's what I'm wondering. There's some red flags there. Some red flags on Jamal Murray. Lou Dort, green light all day. Jamal Murray, I'm not so sure. I don't necessarily want him to be on the Raptors ever. All the best to Jeremy Lin. Great career and great stream. Yeah, Jeremy Lin's awesome. NBA champion with the Toronto Raptors, Jeremy Lin, a role model for Asian Americans to dream to become an NBA player. He showed that, you could do it. You could do it. That's right. Toronto Maple Leafs fans saying Canada did not get fourth in men's basketball. They lost in the quarterfinals. I blame Shea. No, they did. They did in the standings. The way that they ranked out and stuff, they're either fourth or fifth. Yeah. They just missed out on the medal round. Seriously, they did. If you go look at it, that's actually the damn truth. Seriously, they just missed out on the medal round. If they'd won their last game, they would have gone to the bronze game or the gold game. But they didn't. They lost. Yeah. You blame Shea? Nah, Shea was good. Shea was taking over and doing the things that he does. I blame Jamal. I blame the older players on the team too. And also, I wish that Zach Edey had been there. If Zach Edey had been there, that may have helped us because the Olympics were very big. And Paris, the French team was very, very big. And the teams that were successful were very big. And Zach Edey was needed. In some ways, our biggest player was Kelly Olynyk, and that was a problem. That was a problem. So I know Zach was going into his rookie year with the Grizzlies, and he decided not to play for Canada at Paris Olympics. But that would have helped us immensely if Zach Edey had been there. It really, really would. Yeah. Let's see. Seymour saying, okay, who's this guy? The gig is up. Who is this guy? I've seen this TML fan before in other spaces around the Raptors. I'm pretty sure, unless it's a different guy. He's a fake Raptors fan, clearly. No, he's a Leafs fan who does care about the Raptors, is what it looks like to me, UC. Good to see you, UC. Good to see you, Raptor Freak UC. One of them old Leaf fans, probably. I don't know. We don't know for sure. He's only representing himself as TML fan. But he has said that he's a Raptors fan too, and he is rooting for us to get another championship. So there is something we have in common, guys. There's something we have in common. That's what I want to do. I don't want to divide. I want to come together more and more. That's an important thing in this world today. Randolph saying, blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks family. Those of us that are living moral, sound, purposeful, driven lives are the preservatives of our world. Do your good today and always. Man, that's very loaded with a lot of stuff in there. Man, and it's true. They may try and change perception of what is right and wrong in this world by criminals trying to set it. And we have to understand the moral places that we come from in our upbringing and the ways that we think with our religiosity, what is right and what is wrong, because they're going to try and justify evil with the ICE raids and different things like that, saying it's what Christ would want. No, that's bullshit. That is bullshit. If you're hurting people, if you're separating children from their families, that is never, ever Christ-like. Trust me. And we have to remember to hold strong to our morals and not let them get perverted by a MAGA world that wants to start making this is okay and this is okay. No, fuck that. That wasn't okay in 1980. That wasn't okay in 2000. And that's not going to be okay in 2025. That's what we got to stick to our guns. Blessings to the Phillips family, all the Raptor Freak families out there. That's right. Monique's giving me my cutoff. I've needed it. I'm at 3 hours now. W Stream, W Vibes, go Raptors for life. Lex, keep at it always, helping me limit the comments. I appreciate that. Fiercely saying, Lex, can you rescind dunks given? TML fan no longer deserves it. You're asking for that, but I'm going to keep him that one still. Extending the stream with delusional comments. I mean, some of them, I would say he's hitting about 50%. But he does have some other stuff that's okay. It's okay. Yeah. Seymour's seconding it, and UC's also. It sounds like you're not getting a good consensus here. This is somewhat a democracy, so we'll just see. In some ways, this is not a stream or a channel that's trying to get 1 million followers. This is very much a family that's kind of keeping it in the family, and we have a feel to it. And in some ways, I don't care about keeping people. In some ways, if they tell me that you got to go, you might have to go, just so you know. And it's not even me. It's not even me. Seymour saying, is he a KD burner account? I don't think so. I don't think KD is a Leafs fan unless it's because of Drake. Isaac saying, come on, guys. We know it's Nick Nurse. You guys think this is Nick Nurse? Hey, everybody. Come on in. Circle in here, guys. Let's all good job today, guys. All right, y'all. Listen to Fred, please. And we're going to go ahead and do a good thing here. All right, Nick Nurse out. Yeah, there you go, Nick Nurse. Yeah, it's Nick Nurse. Let's see. Maple Leafs fans saying we need the Raptors to make at least the semifinals or conference finals this year since the East is down. I want to, expectations are good, and you do want to shoot for goals. And in some ways, the players have their own private goals. Grady Dick, Scotty Barnes, Jacoby Walter, RJ Barrett, they got their own private goals, and they don't broadcast them. In some ways, I don't want fans to have crazy expectations and say we have to do this and we have to do that, or it's not successful. I say this every year. Let's win more games than we won last year, and let's get further in the playoffs than we did last year. So what did we do last year? We won 30 games, and we didn't make the playoffs. So if we make the playoffs and we win over 30 games, that's progress. Now, I fully expect the Raptors to jump with the wins to above 500 record. So I'm guessing instead of jumping 5 wins from the year before last year, that they'll jump maybe 15 wins. And all of a sudden they're a 45 wins team this year, just over 500, and they make the playoffs. Now, if they're a 45 win team, that usually means a straight up playoff spot and not a play-in. You usually around 500 or below 500 to be a play-in team. It could mean a play-in spot, but I'd like to see them get in the top 6 in the East, and I think that's very likely. They could win more than 45 games, get almost to 50, and they would be higher. I don't know. My expectations are more like that. And in some ways, them getting in the playoffs, that's the expectation I have. They get in the second round or even the conference finals. We can't do that yet. They're young, and they have to feel the taste of the energy of the playoffs and how much it upticks. And then, they'll be more savvy, and then they'll build from it the next year. That's why these things don't happen overnight. In some ways, the Oklahoma City Thunder winning as such a young team is an anomaly. That is not normal. And a lot of it is a testament to the maturity and the leadership of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander that the Thunder won this year. Yeah, the Thunder won this year. That's right. There you go. Seymour saying, yeah, Lex knows Jay Huff. Seymour saying, if Kuminga signs with Phoenix, which looks close to happening, Horford will sign with San Francisco Warriors. That's interesting. I thought that's what was going to happen anyway. I had already heard that Horford was going to be with the Warriors this year, and I'd already expected that. So I was just waiting for that to happen. I've been like, when is Al Horford going to sign with them? I just want him the hell away from Boston, honestly. He can go play with Draymond and Steph. Okay, that'll make it a really old team over there. It's like the Clippers and the Warriors are old-ass teams. I'm telling you right now. They're like retirement homes over there in Northern California with the Clippers and the Warriors at this point. Yeah, Kuminga, whatever happens with him is whatever happens to him. He's hurt himself in this whole situation is what's happened. Yeah, he's hurt himself. That's right. Sorry, Oakland. And Shaq Lindsay saying, who invited the Leaf fan? He found the channel. That's fine. I don't mind Leaf fan being here, honestly. Listen, I don't want you to think that we're disrespecting you. It's just that we're very diehard Raptors fans. And in some ways, we do have animosity towards Leaf Nation because of some of the things I explained earlier. So in some ways, we don't accept the hierarchy of the Leafs over the Raptors here. The Raptors are over the Leafs on this channel. And in some ways, just because you have that perception, and maybe it's a common perception in a lot of places, it doesn't mean it's everybody's thinking that way. And we are definitely the people that aren't thinking that way. So that's kind of what it is. Let's see. Shaq Lindsay saying, Leaf fan, you have 590, 150 AM Sports Center, etc. No, listen, I'd actually like to encourage Toronto Maple Leafs fan to come back. Seriously, let's not be so unwelcoming to him. Seriously, let's invite him in and let's have him. If he enjoys the channel, he likes my personality, he thinks that he's getting something from this, I want him to keep coming back. Because in some ways, it'd be good to have a Leaf fan here to kind of give the Leaf perspective at different times and balance things. Seriously, I don't want to turn people off from the channel, guys, just because they have differing views than us. In some ways, if they're mature enough to sit in here with us and talk to us, and they want to be here, I want that to be allowed. We've allowed fans of other teams to be in here with us, Nets fan, Knicks fan, Celtics fan, and we've gotten along with them. We've gotten along with Sixers fan. So it's like we can get along with Leafs fan. That's from our own city. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. That's how I look at it right there. Maple Leafs fans saying, do you think we can get Kuminga? I don't want him. I don't want him. It would be a sign and trade. Fuck that. We don't need Kuminga. Kuminga is a knucklehead. Obviously, he has an idea over importance in his head of how good he is. He's not as good as he thinks he is. He's demanding money. He told the Golden State Warriors he's on the level of Scotty Barnes. He's delusional. He's delusional. We don't need a knucklehead like that. Toronto Maple Leafs fan. The Raptors only draft and sign players that are of high character and winning kind of guys. In some way, Jonathan Kuminga is not in the DNA of the kind of player the Raptors want. And some Raptors fans be like, ooh, he seems like a good, young, fancy player. I want him on this team. No, trust me. You don't want him on this team. He's an egotist, and in some ways, he will take away from the vibes. He will not add to the team chemistry. In some ways, he may be thinking about his own things and selfish. That's already the cards he's been laying on the table in Golden State. And in some ways, look, I don't need no knuckleheads in this league on our team in the Toronto Raptors. Bobby Webster's done a good job of keeping good talent and good quality character guys that are all for one for all, that are building the synergy and the chemistry on our team right now. And you don't need any knuckleheads coming in here. In some ways, talent does not supersede being a knucklehead. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. Seymour saying Clippers, Warriors, Kings have wear on them tires. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's true. You added the Kings in there. And I don't want to diss the great DeMar DeRozan, but yeah, they're a little bit older in California right now. They are. UC saying, I doubt Kuminga wants to play for the Raptors. Yeah, that's another part of it. You know, I don't want to bring anybody up here who ain't wholeheartedly wanting to be in Toronto. Fuck that. Brandon Ingram really wanted to be in Toronto, and that's why he's here. And that's why we love Brandon Ingram. We're going to see Brandon Ingram get back to All-Star form in Toronto Raptors jersey. Jonathan Kuminga is probably an idiot, a low mentality kind of guy who may be xenophobic against playing in Canada. And that's something we have to worry about on the Raptors side of business in the NBA, is there are knuckleheads that are players that say, I won't play for Canada because I don't want to go to Toronto and stuff like that. So, yeah, Maple Leafs fans saying the Warriors did Kuminga dirty. No, he did himself dirty. Steve Kerr made him look bad. I'm not a fan of Steve Kerr. Well, Steve Kerr, in some ways, yeah, he's kind of a jerk. He didn't let Wiggins play for Team Canada. But no, don't blame anybody but Jonathan Kuminga. In some ways, look, the Stunted Growth is a great YouTube channel. They just put something out on Jonathan Kuminga, and they blame a couple things. First of all, they blame that he's on the Warriors. The Warriors are a horrible team for a young player to try and develop on, with all the emphasis around the dynasty core of Steph Curry and before Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. And then what happened to Jonathan that fucked him up next was they traded for Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler came in and took his spot and took all this stuff, and he's not being utilized there. In some ways, this is the NBA. He's not promised anything. Who gives a shit about Jonathan Kuminga? You have to fit to what's going on, and you better be adaptable, because people will get traded and other people come in and take your spot. So you better be that damn good. And, well, the problem with Jonathan Kuminga is he has a bunch of people around him in his group saying he's so awesome and his shit don't stink. And in some ways, he doesn't have a realistic grasp about how good he is in this league. And I don't need players like that. I don't need players like that on our team like that. I don't need players like that. Yeah, that's right. The Warriors are dirty. That's why we gave them the beats in 2019. That's right. I'm on that. What? Why would anyone not want to play in Canada? Okay, now he's just being sarcastic and silly. Yeah, I'll finish up really quick. Yeah, it's so disrespectful. Now, Maple Leafs fan, are you being ironic or sarcastic? I don't read sarcasm. I can only read what is put in the chat. And are you being sarcastic? You know, Steve Francis, Kenny Anderson, Alonzo Mourning, shit like that. Come on now. On the download, Damian Lillard, stuff like that. Yeah. Toronto Maple Leafs, the new Mel Bester. No, Mel Bester's innocent. In some ways, this guy's got a different energy. Mel Bester, as our Knicks friend, is man, he's a good guy, man. I like Mel Bester. I don't know who this guy is yet. Yeah, Mel Bester. Mel Bester is a guy who lives in New York City, who's a huge fan of the New York Knicks, the New York Yankees, and the Dominican Republic, because that's where he's from. And he comes in here and he likes to talk about the Knicks with us. He started showing up around when we did the RJ for OG and that trade. He started showing up around then. Yeah. Shaq Lindsay saying, Nickel Alexander is the godson to my wife. His mom is close to us. His mom was a bridesmaid in our wedding. Nickel was the ring bearer. That's awesome. That's cool. We'll pass along a message from the Raptor Freaks that we wish Nickel all the best in his new chapter in Atlanta. And I hope that he gets to play more and he gets to start. That's what I'm looking for with him. Yeah. You're not being sarcastic. Current players don't feel that way anyway. The ones on our team don't. We suss them out for this. Colin Murray Boyle's reaction on draft day was a little concerning. Him and his girlfriend looked like, a little bit. He's like, fuck. He said that was a good fuck. I think that in some ways, Colin may have bought some of the noise about playing for Toronto, but in some ways, it wasn't that ensconced in his head. And he came into the reality. He saw how the Raptors treated him right from the start. He saw the heroes welcome. He saw the fan base. He saw the facilities. He saw the class of the organization. He saw the quality. And he's like, okay, yeah, I could get used to this. But maybe his initial reaction was like, oh, I'm going to Toronto. in some ways. But in some ways, he's like, okay, I'm educated on this. He was open-minded to it. And then he was like, yeah, okay. DeMar DeRozan had never been to Canada until he came to Toronto and got drafted by the Raptors. And his ignorance to it was just ignorance because he didn't know. But he didn't have an opinion formed either way about whether Canada was bad or not. So he came in with an open mind. But there are a lot of young knuckleheads that come up, like Jeff Teague, talking about his stupid shit on his podcast about Canada this, Canada that just don't get it. And in some ways, the Raptors have to be cognizant of this a bit more than the Leafs. The Leafs, in some ways, are, a lot of Canadians play in the NHL, and they would dream of playing for the Maple Leafs. This phenomena is happening for the Raptors now with RJ Barrett, Delano Banton, AJ Lawson, but it's more recent. This is very new in the Raptors' history and culture that we have old enough players that are talented enough to come from our community in Toronto and play for the Raptors. In some ways, that's why I covet a player like RJ Barrett playing for the Toronto Raptors. In some ways, it's been harder for us in our 30-year history to get players wholeheartedly to come to Toronto in the earlier years, especially. In some ways, it got better and better in different times. Vince Carter, the championship for sure. Oh, yeah. Masai Ujiri definitely helped people wanting to come to Toronto. But still, we're in a detriment as a team. And out of the 30 teams in the NBA, the only foreign team. In some ways, we have to overcome. And this is part of the reason why the Raptors can't rely on free agency to build their team. We rely on the draft and we rely on trades because free agency, we're not going to get the big free agency fish here in Toronto. That's just the damn truth. And in some ways, I don't care. In some ways, the way we have to do it actually is more sustainable, and we are successful for it still. We draft so well. We're one of the best teams at drafting in our whole entire history. If you really take the grades of drafting over the 30 years of the Raptors basketball history, we kick most of the team's asses on hitting on draft picks. Sure, we have some duds here and there. Rafael Harujo and Alex Radojevic, Malachi Flynn. But there are a lot of players that we drafted that have been badass, like Tracy McGrady, Damon Stoudemire, Jacoby Walter, Grady Dick, Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Chris Bosh, DeMar DeRozan. I mean, we've hit on a lot of draft picks, and we've had to. That's right. Ed Rogers. There you go. What do you think of Ed Rogers, Toronto Maple Leafs fan? Yeah. What do you think of him? Shaq Lizzie saying Nickel is just looking for an opportunity to shine like his cousin. This is a great opportunity for him. I felt like in some ways he was kind of buried in the rotation in Minnesota and not progressing in his years in the NBA as he should in Timberwolves. Now they're a better team and maybe he had a better chance to win in Minnesota, but he's going to get more individual opportunity in Atlanta. That's what I'm saying. Atlanta might trade Young and they will be in the need for a point guard. I would do that if I was the Hawks. Trae Young is not a winner. Trade his ass to Charlotte. That's what I would say. Yeah. Seymour saying, I don't see Young getting extended. He might be a odd man out in the next coming seasons or someone will roll the dice with them. All right. We're at 316, Austin 316. Let's get out of here, guys. We did an extra time this morning on the Jeremy Lin Share the Love Club. Extra overtime here. That's right. Fiercey, you're writing more comments. Toronto Maple Leafs fans, he is a Raptor freak, a friend of ours. Oh, she's answering the Mobester question. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Seymour saying another Isaiah Thomas situation. What are you talking about? Anyway, I'm getting lost in the conversation. You guys are going back too far in different places. Yeah, y'all need to hit live if you're watching me. If you're watching me, hit the live button because you may be behind in the chat. Toronto Maple Leafs fans saying I'll come tomorrow. Awesome. Well, tomorrow on Sundays, I do the Sunday special report. It's kind of like a 60-minute style format. And tomorrow I'm going to talk about FIBA rules. I'm going to talk about how the CBL plays by FIBA rules and the Elam ending, and how a lot of the rest of the world's playing by FIBA rules, and the NBA is like the only place that isn't. And is it time for the NBA to maybe adjust their rules to be more like FIBA so that there's a world standard for basketball with the rules and international play? So that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow on the Sunday report, FIBA rules. And should the NBA start instituting more of the FIBA rules to be more in line with the whole rest of the world, honestly? The NBA is the only league that has the rules that it has. The whole rest of the world plays the FIBA rules, including the Canadian Elite Basketball League. Yeah. You used to say, take care, y'all. Yeah. One of your favorite channels. I haven't watched in over a year. Awesome. But this is a fun stream. Hey, listen, I like the fact that you're allowing us to have back and forth. I hope that nothing was said that was taken personal. I'm just trying to be absolutely honest on all fronts. And what I talk about on this channel, whether it's politics, whether it's the Raptors, whether it's the Leafs, whether it's the Blue Jays, whoever. That's all it is. It's an unfiltered channel of thought coming from my mouth. And I come off of the cues from you guys and what you guys want to talk about. You have questions and I try to answer them. You've asked a lot of questions about the Raptors, and I tried to elaborate and explain them to you, like Nick Nurse and things about like what I see coming up for this season. I think the Raptors are going to be very successful this year, and that I think the Toronto sports fans should be ready to enjoy a really fun Raptors season. The schedule's a lot easier this year, and we're going to have a better schedule for it being conducive for success. Last year was not a nice schedule at all. It was very pointedly against us. This year is very fair, and it's very spread out very well. And I don't see a whole lot of problems with the schedule for the Raptors this year in a lot of places. It should be very good. All right, man. I'm glad you had fun. Thank you for the cutoff, Isaac. And guys, if you're a member of the channel like Isaac Campbell, you get access to all the really cool little emote heads he has in there. You can see Brandon and Scotty and Emmanuel and RJ and Jakob and Garrett Temple and Monique and myself in there, the super fan. So yeah, think about joining the channel as a member. Your little bit of support for this channel is very helpful, and you get all kinds of great perks being a Raptor Freak channel member. All right, y'all, I'm out. Sunday report tomorrow. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. every single day. You know I'm gonna be here. All right, Toronto Maple Leafs fan, respect, and I'll see you tomorrow, man. All right, let's go Raptors.